Midweek already, 3 hours of good stuff with you guys. If you're driving around town, listen on 93.3. Thanks for doing that as well. Be safe. Hopefully you get everything done that you need to get done. I don't know what that might be, but hopefully you do. Yesterday did headlines mention this. I'll mention it at the top here so that we can just get on with the getting. But I did want to thank everybody who asked about Bryce's surgery. He's doing fine, doing well. He's at the house. And we're slowly weaning him off of a cocktail of heavy drugs. That's where we're at right now. Slowly weaning him off a cocktail of heavy drugs so that he can return to form as best he can. And then the arduous rehab can begin, which is not something I envy for him. But I thank the fine folks at TMH, the fine folks at TOC, all the doctors and nurses, and I thank all of you well-wishers and everybody who inquired about that. It means a lot. I mean that. Thank you for doing so. Now we're on that focused, that locked in sort of, all right, you're okay. You survived the surgery, sucked for like 24 to 48 hours. Now we get back to the getting healthy and getting stronger and getting better. Hopefully it'll happen sooner rather than later. Noles win last night. How about that? Look good doing. I watched and enjoyed that game, Tom. I'll tell you why. This is now for Florida State, a team that I think has proven at the very least, let's put it that way, that they're gonna play hard. They're gonna play really hard. Their pressure and their length is really what the difference maker was in this game against Hofstra, and you can only really do that if you're committed from an effort standpoint, right? That pressure ended up forcing Hofstra into 20 turnovers. We had 14 steals last night in the game, which is a real positive sign, and Florida State pulled away in the second half and wins comfortably 79-61, moves to 4-1 on the season. You can't take for granted these out-of-conference games, many of which we, during the stretch when Leonard was when he had it rolling, we just assumed would be good, right? That everything would be all right, that you'd win those games and then you'd worry about the ACC. But Florida State hasn't been that program in a few years. And so I don't take it for granted. I think that Hofstra team's pretty decent. They're lacking in some size, but they're pretty decent and they're well coached. And so for Florida State to really kind of dominate the basketball game, couple stretches like basketballs want to do, it got kind of close. But every time it did, Florida State pulled back away, usually created some turnovers, hit a big three on a nice kick out, something like that, that kind of put the game back in their firm control. And look, some numbers stood out to me, Tom. I know you watched the game as well. Let's do this. Florida State shot 65% from the free throw line through the first 4 games of the season. That's terrible. They last night went 18 of 23. That's good. We'll take 18 of 23. That's nearly 80%. If you're going to do that, you've got a chance to convert and win some games. They got 5 of 5 from Watkins, I might add, by the way. So, he came into the game shooting 58% from the free throw line. For a kid who goes to the basket and gets fouled a lot and is your best player and is going to get a lot of opportunities, you need him to make free throws. So good for him going 5 of 5. That's nice to see. We had been out-rebounded in the first half. We ended up with an advantage on the glass, 31-27, including 10 to 5 on the offensive glass. That led to a 15-4 advantage in second chance points. Very, very good. We were a fouling machine through 4 games. Guess what? Last night, we only committed 14 fouls. 7 free throw attempts for Hofstra. That's it. That's all. Good stat. Really good stat. And finally, after being humiliated by Florida's front court from a rebounding standpoint, we got after it in this game and did a much better job and got much better effort from lots of people, including you. And I thought on the whole, it was a good effort.
Yeah, so the first half, it was a continuation early on from the three-point line of massive struggles. They were 0 for 6 to start the game, and then they ended up rebounding from there to start to – Leonard Hamilton's been talking about it the entirety of the season so far. He's like, I think we can hit the 3 pretty well. And you saw – after the 0 for 6 start, you saw Florida State improve in that regard. To me, I think the key moment in the game, if we're just going to talk about a moment, you got the stats, I'll take the sequence. It's a 14-4 run for Hofstra in the second half that gets it to a 1-point game. It's Justin Thomas hitting a 3, and then Justin Thomas with active hands on a pass into the paint. I think Ewan comes away with the ball, but it's because of active hands and a commitment to playing backside defense from Justin Thomas. You get a fast break, you get a score. The next thing you know, the Noles go on a run and they put it out of reach. It got dicey in the beginning of the second half where you felt like, oh, rocking chair game. Good job, Noles, against Hofstra. But this is where they put it back away. The thing you're talking about. When they needed to respond, they got it. That's nice from a bench guy. You are seeing the effort out of the depth.
Yeah.
It's raw. It's a little bit wild, but it's impressive to see. And then the other thing I looked at this morning was just in watching the game last night, how fast are we playing? Well, according to KenPom, we're top 30 in the country in adjusted tempo. It's just something to keep an eye on.
I'll take it. I don't know that that'll be sustainable, but I will take it. I do think, again, Ewan was no longer worried about being a finesse player. He went to the basket. He converted on 6 of 8 field goal attempts. That's the best he's looked. All right, let's see what guys become. Let's see what everything is. I'm not here to tell you this is a great team, but I don't think they're terrible, and they have been terrible. So that's nice. Let's find out if we have intrigue as the season goes on. Next up, they head up to Connecticut. It is the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off. By the way, an event you and I would probably like to cover because it's there at Mohegan Sun Arena, which means we're really close to the Mohegan Sun Resort, which means, all right. Let's
take a break from the gambling to cover basketball for a little bit.
Or go gamble at the Mohegan Sun and then watch some basketball. That's what I'm saying.
Take a break from the gambling to cover the basketball.
I thought you meant the gambling we do every day here.
No.
Hit on a big table tennis win 2 days ago. I haven't had a chance to mention it yet. I went with 3 plus 120 or above underdogs and hit all 3 in a parlay. $15 of pizza money won me $150.
Oh man, that's that table tennis.
I love me some table tennis gambling, buddy. You can really rack it up. I've learned the guys. I know who they are. I got favorite players now. I got guys that are in it. Hey, it's a league. It's the TT Plus League. If you follow that,
it's the what?
TT, Table Tennis Plus. There's a bunch of different leagues. You don't want to play that. You don't want to play that pseudo check league. You got to play the TT league. That's the league you want.
The TT.
Yeah. The TT league is where it's at, Tom. You get some action going there. You start to know these guys. It's actually, I say it's plus. It's the Elite Series. They call it the Elite Series. And then there's this other series where I have not won nearly as much. The TT Cup I have not won, and I do not win whatever the Russian one. I don't win on that either. But the Elite Series, I lock it in, Tom.
I guess I'm going to have to, because I do have it synced to my smart device at home for television. I could just say, Alexa, show me some TT action. Let's go. Let's watch.
Be careful.
Well, no, that's the tour.
Yeah. Well, be careful. I think I would word it all the way out.
The plus?
Not the Star Series. You want the TT Elite Series.
So sorry.
Yeah.
Show me some TT Elite Series.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You'll start to like certain guys' tenacity.
I'm sure I will.
You'll be like, well, that guy.
That's what the third T is for.
Yeah,
the TT.
Tenacity. That guy's not all that good. But I tell you what, he'll fight. He pushes it to 5 sets each time. That's Scott Nitschke. He's a tough one. And then there's Grigorigov. Soraka. Soraka's won me some money.
They call him hot sauce.
I've enjoyed it. You know what I've enjoyed as well? Not thinking a thing about Florida State practice. I know we have to give these practice updates, and God bless the staff members over there going to watch practice before Charleston Southern, giving us updates on how the squad's looking over there these days on Monday and Tuesday. And ooh, that's a tough. You have to suspend disbelief to really, really enjoy any kind of Marvel movie or superhero movie or space movie or anything like that. Sometimes you can do it if it's really well crafted, really well written, really well acted. Other times you can't. Other times you're like, no, come on now. That laser beam, come on, we're not doing that. So sometimes you can't do it. With Florida State football practice before Charleston Southern comes out, I'm like, I don't know, fellas. I'm having a hard time following up on this practice report. I got to be honest with you. I'll be there Saturday, and we'll do that pregame show, and we're going to have a blast. But, buddy, you want to get me responding to practice reports. Woo-hoo.
I think if you ran the website, you'd put a footnote link to the TT Elite series. For more information on the TT Elites.
I would. I'd be like, Florida State practice today, just so you know. Check out the upset on the TT Elite. If you guys had Sarkoff, you did all right for yourselves. What a comeback, huh? That guy's, he's tenacious. It's like I always say in these practice reports at the bottom, you should be getting into these table tennis reports.
Anytime you're playing for a TT Cup, it's a special thing.
You just never know. Could go a variety of ways. I think the committee kind of backed themselves into a bit of a corner yesterday. I know a lot of you didn't watch it. The top five stays the same. Couple of curiosities. Boise is ahead of the Big 12 representative. Alabama jumped Miami for reasons I don't understand, other than they're in the SEC. That's what Tom would tell you, and I think he'd be right. Georgia moved up just 2 spots, but somehow Missouri's still ranked. Illinois, though, is ranked, having not beat a ranked team. Whereas, like K-State, for example, who I know just lost, got beat up by Dilly Dilly, but are 7-3 and have wins over 2 ranked teams, which is the same record as Illinois, who has wins over no ranked teams.
You can also take a look at Arizona State and Colorado and tell me the differences and why Arizona State isn't in a higher profile position.
Colorado is going to win the Big 12, I do believe, and I believe has a really good chance to put a scare into some folks, because I think Shedeur has emerged as the best quarterback in college football.
Oh, yes. I was skeptical on the NFL skill set. What I knew from watching him early in his career,
yeah.
He is so tough because that offensive line is so bad, and it hasn't affected his game. How many quarterbacks have you seen be affected, like just permanently? They're forever changed because they're snapping the ball and their heads shaking and they're going, oh, God. And the internal clock is firing. Shedeur, that never happened to him. That was always impressive. But what he's done this year, you've seen a lot of quarterbacks up and down, like your boy at Georgia. Beck is
had a great game against Tennessee.
He did. And I'm sure he'll have another game where you go, what the hell? 3 picks and 9 throws. Then he throws for 3 touchdowns to respond. And you're like, is this Jameis Winston?
He's got a similar profile sometimes.
Right.
Yes.
And Shedeur has been more consistent. But if you're willing on a wager, and I think you are, give me the Fighting Dillies to go on a run and win the conference, because they get BYU this weekend. BYU at 3:30, and there it is. Basically, I'm going all in this Saturday to see if they even get that far. But if they win, then they will be in that Big 12 championship game.
So we had an interesting conversation, and when you look at these rankings and take them for what they are, I get it, it's a grand TV show and drama and all of those things. Just something to note here, by the way, if Texas loses to Texas A&M, they're out of the playoff. They're not going. That's the end of it. They're done dealing. Because of the way Georgia's positioned in as the last at-large, we're done talking here. Georgia beat the bejesus out of Texas. They can't jump them, because then it would be SEC on SEC crime. And you won't get that the way that you did last year with us. Now,
you might be able to find an at-large spot for Texas at 2 losses. I think you might be able to do it.
I don't think so with a loss to Texas A&M. I think they're screwed. They would end up – there's too many things here we can go talk about later. But anyhow, the point would be this. I go back to thinking about what's what in the world of college football in our place. And when I watch all these other teams and I see all these other seasons that are taking place, some of what stands out to me is just how unpredictable much of this is trending towards. And I like that part of it, because you really have to make sort of leaps of faith to believe that Mike Norvell can turn it around at Florida State. You're going to have to see something we haven't seen before, but we're already seeing things that we haven't seen before. So maybe it's possible. Maybe it's completely possible. Maybe it happens as soon as this next year. Maybe. It's all debatable, and that's fine. But I think what we're zeroing in on right now is the great uncertainty of where college football is headed and what's what. There are no great teams in college football this year. There's nobody that you say can't get got. A lot of times we've seen many seasons over the years where, save for a singular game on the road against a fellow top 5 team, a team really couldn't get got. They were bulletproof because they were stacked, and their worst day was going to be better than most average to good teams' best days. And they would always get by. How many years did we invest emotionally in a potential monumental upset in the making, where Team A is ranked number 1 and undefeated and has had 6 straight top 5 classes in recruiting, and Team B is a nobody. They've not had any in the top 25 ranked classes in the last 6 years. They lost 5 games this year, but we're in the 4th quarter and it's a tie game. And you're like, I'm going to believe. I want to see this happen. How great would it be? It rarely ever happened because somebody was bigger, stronger, faster, and eventually just made a damn play that your guy couldn't stop, right? I don't see that in Georgia. I don't see it in Oregon. I don't see it in Texas. I don't see it in any of them. And there's evidence to that end. They've all got except for Oregon, who could have just lost to Wisconsin this past weekend. It's actually more of a badge of honor on their resume that they didn't, because that's a tough place to play in a really weird set of circumstances.
And they could have lost at home to a not so great, but not terrible or Ohio State team. You know, if not for the brilliance of the cheater, Dan Lanning, and putting 12 men on the field.
No, they were in position to win that game before that, but anyhow.
A few seconds might have mattered, or if
Ohio State was in a desperate situation because they were outplayed by Oregon. The point would be
a very flawed Ohio State team, we would agree. Again, they're not one that you would say, well, Ohio State is the standard of college football this season.
I just don't think there is one. I just don't think there. I mean, Alabama, name your teams. They've all got their issues. They all have their moments, and when you think of that Georgia team, I keep coming back to the fact that I think they're probably the most talented. But look, man, they got 2 losses. They got beat up bad by Ole Miss, and we know what they are, right? The Tennessee game too.
This is an extension of last year. It's the same thing. I feel like it's the same field. Last year's group was terribly flawed as well. Washington was flawed. Texas was flawed. Alabama was. Georgia was, because, again, they might have the most talent, but, I mean, who knows if they're actually going to bring it to the table from a week-to-week standpoint.
Yeah.
That's where, I wish our group last year obviously had a 12-team playoff. If they could have put that defense out there against multiple opponents, I think it would have been fun to see. But what you're seeing this year, I think, is a continuation of a trend.
But a furthering of said trend, because I think it's worse this year, Tom. I think, for example, Georgia didn't get in last year because they lost in the SEC championship game. It was the only blemish. Other than that, they were great. They were great.
They had traits of this year's Georgia team with the effort consistency issue, I think. I think you're seeing a continuation and like you just said, that the game itself, it's furthering a trend. Georgia is furthering a trend. You saw warning signs last year. Like, for example, if we talk about 2014 as a warning shot across the bow, but that team was so talented from Florida State's perspective.
They kept winning games. Yeah, they just kept winning.
But that's kind of where the culture started to go the other way and the program started to turn the other way.
I contend that in any program, it's inevitable. I can't find one where it's not.
It seems
Alabama's the closest.
It seems like last year's Georgia team might be that, unless they course correct. And again, you get such a bailout nowadays that you can have 2 losses and make a playoff and win a championship. That didn't exist 10 years ago.
Without question.
It does look like Georgia does. They have consistency issues there, and there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse. I'm not trying to legislate last year. I just think that these groups are kind of the same.
The 2023 Georgia Bulldogs won every game save for the SEC championship game. Now, if you want to say that there were too many games that you didn't think they played well, like the Auburn game early in the season, okay, I'll grant you that one, and I'll grant you South Carolina. I just pulled it back up because I didn't have their schedule memorized. I'm not going to lie about that. Pulled it back up. It's pretty good, Tom. I mean, they're pretty good. I think that results-wise, you're going to be impressed with those games, those scores. I don't think it invalidates your point. I just don't know of any program that brings it every week, in that league especially, and doesn't have a game or 2 that's close.
I agree. We had this talking point for a long time, and the talking point about, and it was true that there's this bubble line at maybe 2 teams in the country, 3 teams in the country, that they are the ones.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is pretending. And the playoff bore that out for many years, where usually the opening round of the playoff was awful. It was blowout central. Yeah,
somebody always got their ass beat, yes.
But I think the hard part is that has changed. And everybody's on it now. I think the national media is on it now. Like, look at all these vulnerable teams. Like, man, that was last year too.
But I think they're more vulnerable the longer this system is in place and goes on with unlimited transfers and the portal being what it is, and everybody now fortifying their NIL game. You see a disparate amount of talent that goes to places they never used to go. It can happen now in a way that it never used to. It's going to be fascinating. Look, at the end of the day, there are going to be teams in a 12-team playoff that really have no business being there. They're just going to be, because you have too many teams. And when it goes to 14 and then 16, it's going to be way too many teams. When you get to 16 teams, you're going to have a couple of 3-loss teams that make it that you're going to go, really? They lost to the only 3 good teams they played and they're going to make the playoff?
Who knows? You might have a 3-loss team in there this year. Probably not, but you never know. That's the thing about the conference championship thing, too, is eventually in this system, you're going to have bids stolen if they keep this current format, where there is a prohibitive underdog on championship Saturday. Maybe that
wins the league.
Maybe the team that they're playing doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know, they might lose a bye week, but they're not going to miss the playoff, and so there isn't that urgency that there used to be. It used to be if you don't win your conference championship, you got no shot, and now it's very different. So you're right. That is where the hope comes in for Mike Norvell and for Florida State, because if you look at that group from about 11 to 20, like A&M has a shot to make the playoff. You don't think we could beat A&M in a year or two? I think we can.
Yeah, we're going to have to clean some things up.
Sure, but that's a lot more attainable.
Order, yeah.
It used to be that the thought was we need to be Georgia in their prime. We need to be what Clemson was when they were a machine. We need to be Alabama. If you're telling me just to get in the playoff, you need to be A&M or SMU, I mean, yeah, I think we could do that.
Yes. Again, this is why I said the turnaround is possible. Now, again, I like to compare and contrast the standard of excellence to the best 1 or 2 programs in America. Even if they're not winning championships, we just know, based on the consistency of recruiting and performance, they're one of the 2 or 3 best programs in America. And we're a long ways from that standard currently. When you were going through just now and saying, hey, we used to think, can you get back to being as good as name the elite program here, right? Georgia currently, or whomever you want to name. And now you just have to be as good as Texas A&M or be as good as whomever, right, to make the playoffs.
SMU, yeah.
Yeah, SMU. All right. Well, certainly I'd like to believe we can be as good as SMU. The thing of it is, when Florida State's great, that isn't the standard. The standard is that you are the odds-on favorite to win the conference, get the automatic bid, and be a major contender to win a national championship. So when we compare and contrast that standard, yeah, we're not close.
Correct.
Yeah.
These, with the playoff system the way it is now,
yeah.
It used to be like go to a good bowl. Well, anymore, that means
get to the playoffs.
Be in consideration for that last at-large spot in the playoff. And then that's the baby step. I'm not saying that's the final place we need to go. I'm just saying that we can be of note in this playoff discussion in the next year or 2. I think that's attainable.
Man, it is so weird to say out loud. If by the way, really, to put a capper on this, the reason that I'm hesitant to tell you that Texas could get in if they lose to A&M, give me the good win they have. It would have been Michigan at the beginning of the year. Michigan's unranked and not any good at all. They don't have a good win. The big game they had was at home against Georgia, and they got stomped. Their other wins are against Florida, Arkansas, whom they look terrible against. They skirted by Vandy by 3. If you want to call that a good win. Pounded a terrible Oklahoma team. Mississippi State, Louisiana Monroe, UTSA, Colorado State. They don't have wins over anybody who's any good. And if they lose to A&M, they don't have a win over a ranked team.
I hear you.
And at that point, if we're starting to compare some resumes, you'd be a non-conference champion with 0 wins over a ranked team. And I can do the same thing for non-conference champions elsewhere with wins over ranked teams.
Yes, but they're not the same conference. That's the problem.
Well, they may be in the Big Ten, which is on equal footing to the SEC in the eyes of and the power in terms of money and all the other stuff, right? They're demanding the same things the SEC is.
They are, but I would also throw out there that names matter more. And that's what they told you last year, that names and brands matter more.
I don't disagree with that.
Notre Dame is where it is. They've got the worst loss of any one-loss team in this conversation.
They do.
Why is Notre Dame ranked so much higher than SMU?
Yeah,
it's the name. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. SMU's loss is not as damaging as Notre Dame's loss. SMU's best wins, taken in totality, are better than Notre Dame's wins. So what's the difference?
Notre Dame's win is that they beat Texas A&M, who I'm ripping. Look, there's Notre Dame did beat Texas A&M.
SMU took out BYU,
who just got beat by a 3-win team.
And A&M lost by 24 to South Carolina.
See, this is my point. We keep doing it. And if A&M beats Texas, then where's Texas's good win? They don't have one.
But their name, that's why they could go from 7-3 last year.
Yeah, well, we saw that. But it's a 12-team playoff now, and you'd think it'd be easier. I don't think it's going to be for them if they lose that game. No, I don't think they're going to lose to Texas A&M. But God help them if they do.
Well, it'd be fun.
It'd be great.
Because then you see them get picked, and you're going to go, I'm going to go, see, there it is.
There are some things that I don't think would allow them to get picked. It'd be very interesting. They'd be better off not losing the game.
It won't be losses. Losses don't matter. That didn't stop them last year. Losses did not stop them last year.
I don't think it's they had a loss last year. It was to Alabama. If they have a loss this year, which is they had a home loss in which they got blown out by Georgia, and then they would lose to Texas A&M, who doesn't Texas A&M is currently ranked 15th, but that would be a bad loss. It'd be a toughie. And then you'd be like, where are your wins? Who are they against?
Come on, committee. Show me what you're about.
But here's the problem, Tom, because we can do this all day, and it does get interesting and kind of fun. What would you do and what would I do on the committee if I had to decide? And I'll do it. I wrote it down. I put down some notes here because it got me thinking about this. What would you do? Here it is. I knew I had it somewhere. What if we end up in a situation now, Texas can't get in over Georgia. Now, Georgia is the last at-large in, according to the committee right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So they can't get in over Georgia. What if it comes down to Texas and Indiana and Tennessee?
Right. So they would put Georgia in penultimate and Texas in last, just like they did last year. They're going to carry Georgia through like they carried Texas over Alabama.
Georgia would deserve to get through. Without question, Georgia is in. At this point, you'd have a hard time. I'm talking about in over Texas.
Yeah.
Georgia's in.
I'm just saying that's what they had to do last year with Texas and Bama. Like, well, you can't put in Alabama over Texas.
Right.
They're like, well, we're going to carry them both through. Yeah.
It gets fun, though, because then I think it comes down to whether or not Indiana gets in over Tennessee. And Indiana is going to have one loss. It'll be to Ohio State, which is not going to be a bad loss. And if they're 11-1 as a non-conference champion,
this is where.
But it's a Big Ten.
This is where the SEC, every conference really should select their participants in their conference championship games. It shouldn't be about where they finish in the standings. I know that sounds wild, but really, there are some teams that will be playing for nothing but a bye, and a bye is important. But the league would be better served to have like Tennessee and Georgia, Tennessee and Texas in the SEC championship game. They don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But because the fields for the championship games that weekend are going to be just as important to help dictate this narrative that you're talking about. In some instances, like Tennessee might not play in the SEC championship game.
No.
So by nature of not playing, they're in because they can't suffer another loss.
They're going to have a hard time. They have 2 losses. And the sad part for them, the hard part for them to get past is they did lose to Arkansas. Tennessee did. And, and they just got thoroughly beaten by Georgia.
Right, but there is a chance that being idle puts them in a better position. Alabama jumped Miami this past week.
And Miami was idle, and Alabama had that big win over Mercer.
So what changed?
I asked that question as well. They were very impressed by that win over Mercer. It was a big to-do. The Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com.
Every journey starts with a first step, a daring step. What they don't say about first steps is that you have to keep going, taking step after step, and eventually you take a big leap, accomplishing more than you ever thought possible. After 57 years, Tallahassee Community College is soaring even higher, and we're now officially Tallahassee State College. We invite you to take a step and visit Tallahassee State College. Learn more at tsc.fl.edu.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
This is Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. There are many companies out there selling pest treatment programs at prices which seem too good to be true. Like most things, you get what you pay for. Let's separate the fact from the fiction. Fiction. The price these companies offer includes all visits needed to keep a home pest-free. Fact. Their prices only include regular visits for exterior treatments. If you encounter pests inside your home, these companies will charge you for additional visits. Is that really pest prevention? At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we always apply exterior treatments, but our plan includes a significant difference. Whenever you encounter an interior problem, Paul's technicians are there, usually the same day you call, and there is no extra charge. With ProShield, you'll never pay extra for providing the service we promised. Pest prevention for your home, and we'll be there as many times as needed to honor our commitment with no extra charge. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a local company that proudly serves the Tallahassee area for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites and any other pests,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
And we make lawns greener, too.
Science-backed, technology tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Rolling on a Ballsmick Wednesday, and it is great to have you here with us. Appreciate you doing just that. As an aside, you follow anything at all about what's happening with that Rays situation? Did you see the Rays tried to strong-arm Pinellas County yesterday?
No, I did not. Now, I knew about the Legends deal. They're playing at Legends Field in Tampa. I refuse to call it by the current name.
Yeah.
No, I did not see that story. I do want to apologize very quickly to the Mormons. The Mormons did beat SMU 18-15. What I should have said was that SMU's loss was an extremely quality loss to BYU, and that's a better loss than Notre Dame's to Northern Illinois. So that's why the quality loss. I got my talking points mixed up, so sorry about that.
What's SMU's best win?
Florida State.
I'm not.
I think it might have been Louisville, but Louisville's fallen to pieces. That loss.
Louisville just lost to Stanford. That's
holy smokes. That is.
Well, this was part of our talking point yesterday, and people ran with, or over the week, Monday, whatever the hell it was. I'm losing track of days.
Same here.
I'll just tell you that
they blew out Pitt 48-25, but again, that's not impressive anymore.
No, it's not.
They did beat that Stanford team that took down Louisville by 30.
Yeah. Well, Stanford had lost 6 straight games prior to beating Louisville. Not a great day for the ACC when Louisville rolls into Stanford and loses. Not a great day. That's the same Louisville team that took Miami to the hilt.
Maybe the TCU win where they beat him 66-42.
Yeah, it's problematic. It's problematic. Not a good league. Not a good league. So if you're wanting to get back in a hurry, just remember you got a shot because you're in this league. If you find competent quarterback play and some semblance of an offensive line, you too can go 8-4 bare minimum. And that is true. That is the one thing. I mean, God forbid they cast us off into the SEC right now with the status of this program, going on the road to play Tennessee, going on the road to play, anybody. Watch Kentucky nearly beat Georgia. I mean, there's like athletes in a lot of those places. They just don't have the depth of talent in a lot of those places that the better teams in that league do. The problem we have here is that the most elite team in the league, which a year ago was us, is now sitting at 1-9. And for the last better part of a decade was Clemson. And now Clemson sits around and loses to teams that they ought not lose to. They've got, what's Clemson? 2-loss team, 3-loss team right now?
Two,
yeah.
They escaped last week.
Against Pitt. That's what it was.
That was a nice run by Klubnik at the end. But that Georgia loss doesn't look nearly as impressive for Clemson, does it? Everybody assumed that loss in opening week for Clemson against Georgia was, well, they lost to a machine. Did they? No.
Well, they should have been more competitive. I mean, they lost 34-3. But again, I think you can look at it two ways. You can say, okay, I don't think Georgia's elite the way they were. Fair enough. It's a decent take if you want to have that conversation. There's some, evidence to that front. But then again, you could just say Georgia not at an elite level beats the best team in the ACC by 100. And this league sucks. We got to get a lot better because we suck in a sorry league. It infuriates me. It really, really infuriates me. And that's to your point. When you go back and watch SMU, who you don't think much of, and go through the teams that have whooped our ass that we don't think much of.
I'm going to be there a while.
Yeah. And it's interesting because and I do, and this is the other thing this was my point. People, I have learned, and I've always known this, I especially had to learn this as this show began to do well and garner more listeners, which I'm forever grateful for, and I'm lucky to have my job. I love it. But over the years, you figure out that people kind of hear what they want to hear. That's especially true when they're angry. And you learn that, hey, look, you're in the opinion business. You give one every day. You're going to get a lot of things wrong. You're going to get a lot of things right. They're going to remember all the ones you got wrong. And everything in between. That's the way it's going to work. And that's fine. It comes with the territory. No big deal. But when we have these discussions about the state of this program currently, people are in a they're in a state of confusion and anger and frustration and angst, and they kind of hear portions of what you say, and those are the portions that they either vehemently disagree with or really agree with, and not the nuance in between at all. It's always one of those two extremes. So what you get in response is, yeah, that's right. He was right. He should have said that. Or he's a clown, wrong, idiot, got everything wrong. It's one of those two, right? And everything about our situation is fairly new and complex and difficult to gauge. And I'm not talking about the results. The results are the results. They're bad, awful season, black and white. That's true. But where we go from here, what Mike is or is not as a coach, the level of talent on this team juxtaposed to the record, what is it? Is this, if everything had functioned the way that they wanted, how good were they? Were they 7-5 good? Were they 8-4 good? Were they 6-6 good? Where, to the degree in which he miscalculated? We don't know the answer to that. We know they're 1-9. That's what we know. But I do think that when we get into the discussions of what went wrong, everybody has rightfully an opinion. And when we get into the discussion of what can be fixed by this guy who's over all of what's went wrong, I'm trying to be careful.
He's achieved a lot in his handful of years here. If you take away negative and positive,
yeah, like just
movements.
Things, yeah.
If you just total movements of a program,
talking points,
so just total progress, and again, take progress and the positive connotation out. Just say, just moving from place to place. My God.
A wide array of results.
Unreal. The amount of movement we've seen in 5 years.
No doubt. But it's all happening simultaneous to the shifts in college football, whether that be rules or no rules, and whether that be NIL that at the beginning, certainly Florida State was out in front of and had the most buttoned up of all collectives in the country and used it to their advantage greatly, to now having been kind of caught up with, plus with the portal changing, the caliber of players in there, where you can get elite, where you can't. Although we've learned a lot about the market, about that space, about all of it. And these are things we have to consider while balancing our emotion, which is really difficult to do. And I think it leads to the wild inconsistencies we see in the way that the fan base feels about our situation, about Florida State. And it's actually happening not just amongst our fan base. I think it's happening with some of the pundits that cover college football nationally. You're beginning to hear, and I thought this might happen as we began to see evidence of it, but you're beginning to hear people say, seems to me that we're just going to have really strange results year to year now. We had to be attuned to that sooner than most, unfortunately, since we were the poster child for it. But as people watch Michigan play, as people watch Southern Cal play, who's more invested in winning than Southern Cal? They went out and got the golden child of coaches when he was available. They have a huge NIL. They spend gobs of money on superstar players, and they're 5-5. They suck. A little less than we do. They're not great. Beat LSU. It's a weird team. Anyhow.
So did Florida.
Right, but.
Oh, boy, Brian Kelly.
Okay.
They're invested there at LSU, aren't they?
Yes, and they're pinched right about now. But, okay, same thing. Flip it on its head. Billy Napier came into this season a dead man walking. Hasn't had a winning season yet at Florida. He's in his third year, so it's not like it's 9 years, but it's still third year. Hasn't had a winning season. Really hasn't sniffed a winning season in the eyes of, when you look at the good wins, there ain't a ton of them, right? And yet there's that program playing their ass off for that guy with their backup quarterback, who, by the way, is better than any quarterback Florida State and Miami have moving forward. Ward's gone after this year for Miami. And all of a sudden you're describing Florida as in a better situation. Who amongst us thought that would be the case at this juncture of the season with the games that have been played? It's just bizarre what's happening in college football, and it leads to a lot of confusion about how to think or feel about what is or is not possible for Florida State.
Here's where the blind rage comes from, though. And I say this with affection in my heart because I had to catch myself too. Watching them play LSU this weekend, you admire what's going on at Florida.
I do admire what he's been able to get them to do, which is buy in, believe, and play hard.
And screw them eternally. But, it's damn it. Because they're doing something and not just accepting their fate. They didn't accept their fate. That there never was a pipe dream of an SEC,
right.
championship game
right.
bid. There was never a 10-win season coming. There was never an 8-win season coming. But yet, in the face of all that, it's what we talked about on Sunday when we recorded ahead of the Monday show. If you took the laundry off, and I'm not gonna, because screw Florida eternally, but you admire what it is that they're trying to do. Now, hopefully, that's fool's gold. Next year, Lagway regresses, and they realize, oh, my God, we're stuck with Napier, and we made some bad decisions, and they go 5-7 next year, and they're nowhere, and they feel completely in neutral. That is a possibility. But for right now, they are invested, and I caught myself when they were playing LSU. I'm like, man, these guys are just fighting. They are.
What's more damning, and I guess I was getting into this in the discussion of Kansas rising up and beating BYU, Arkansas playing Texas tough. Like I said, that Utah team had no chance to beat that Colorado team. Utah's injury riddled beyond reason. Starting left tackle, starting tight end as a first-round draft pick, starting quarterback, you name it. They've got so many guys down. They fought like hell, and it's admirable. And we went through all the teams that, under that umbrella last week. And we said, well, that's rather remarkable. It's also damning that we are not one of those teams that does that. Does that bother you more, or does it bother you more when you look at Florida's team and say, I think they're more talented than we are? Because I think that the answer is true on both fronts, by the way.
They might be.
I think they are.
I think one influences the other. I think once you lost to Boston College, all your goals were off the table. You did have lofty goals, and that shot a lot of things in the foot. in addition to all the other things that are going wrong, like looking like we took Georgia Tech for granted, for example. In terms of their preparation, we as media can do that. But, when it comes to the practice and the work, looked like they thought that they was just going to go on a nice little vacation and that, there's a football game in the middle.
My point is it's multi-layered in terms of your criticisms and concerns. You're not trying real hard. I'm not sure you're as talented as some bad teams in that other league. That's a toughie.
That's less reason to not try hard.
Correct. You're going to have to put together the effort, my man. Whew. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
And directions would have followed the alert tones. This test is brought to you by the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and your local broadcast station or cable provider. This concludes the required monthly test.
Rise the apartment, a person of interest has been identified in relation to the incident and is being questioned by detectives. This is an active investigation. One man is dead and another hospitalized after a crash between a Nissan van and cement truck around 3:30 p.m. Tuesday near the intersection of Woodville Highway and Belair Road. The 46-year-old driver of the van died at the scene of the crash. The cement truck driver, a 70-year-old man, was taken to Tallahassee Memorial and is expected to survive. It is currently unclear what caused the crash. This is Rachel Anaya with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Frobley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 79 this afternoon. Under clear skies, northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 47 tonight. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow, 62. Ample sunshine and dry Friday and Saturday, upper 50s, Friday, low 60s by Saturday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 74.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachia Parkway. There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds
there's like, families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And, I've
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
College football tonight is part of that wonderful stretch of 55 straight days. I find it's a nice sort of fallback, right? Where you get this opportunity to kind of, all right, I don't know what to do on hump day. I'm not excited about this Saturday. I'm not going to ignore the football. We're still a day away from the NFL being back, which I'm loving right about now. Bunch of different things. What do I got? 2 1-point spreads? All right. That's what I got tonight.
You could play some Twilight. Oh, no Twilight.
No Twilight.
The sun's down.
No.
It's already down.
It's getting late early, as they say.
Some long shadows at 2:00.
But at 7:00, if you're so inclined, you could pop the top on a cool, cold adult beverage. Watch you a little Buffalo Eastern Michigan to be played at Nearson Stadium, one of your favorites.
Whole Ron Nearson.
And then, as you noted earlier, Ohio, not Ohio State, Ohio at Toledo. Ooh, rivalry game, baby. Kind of. 7 o'clock Glass Bowl in Toledo, Ohio.
The Glass Bowl?
It's the name of the stadium, the Glass Bowl.
That is outstanding.
Both are less than 2-point spreads. This is the time of year. It gets dark early. Your brain occasionally does the depressing thing of reminding you that it is unfortunately week 13 of the college football season. And you go, oh no, where did it go? Where did it go? Now, this year you might be like, ooh, good.
That's
almost done. Almost done. But it is a reminder to do what else? Tune in to as many of these sons of bitches as you can. And if you're a sporting guy or gal, put a little pizza money down tonight. I'm not telling you which direction to lean, whether that is EMU or Buffalo or Ohio or Toledo, just that we've got 2 1-point spread games, and I'm going to watch them. And tomorrow we have NC State and Georgia Tech. It's Jeff Cameron Show, hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with. Transform your life with DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to for science-backed health insights. Their DEXA scan gives you the most accurate body composition available, measuring bone density, muscle mass, and both subcutaneous and visceral fat. Get the data you need to track progress and make real changes. Your VO2 max is the best indicator of health and longevity, but it offers more than just a number. It shows respiratory function, calories burned at different intensities, and whether your body burns fat or carbs, helping you train smarter. DexaFit's RMR test reveals how many calories you burn at rest and the type of fuel your body uses, so you can dial in your diet for weight loss, muscle gain, or maintenance. And their red light therapy soothes sore muscles, reduces inflammation, and rejuvenates your skin. Right now, get a DEXA scan and red light therapy for just $99. That's a $184 value. Call 850-510-7728 or visit DexaFit Tallahassee's website to book. Know your body and transform your life this fall with DexaFit.
Oh, oh, whoa! Check out Pinch a Penny. We're stocked to the rafters with hot spring spas, a recognized leader. Imagine the fun of the holidays with warmth, relaxation, and lovely bubbles. Oh, it's 30 home spas for you to see right now. Affordable right now, too. Up to $2,000 off. Or special financing. Ask for details. Is the world stressing you out? Fight back. To assure these prices, Pinch a Penny, open 7 days a week on Career Road.
As I want to do, I look out for your comfort, everybody. You know that, and I've told you for weeks that the cure to what ails you is over at Manscaped. Manscaped.com, promo code Warchant, of course, but you need the salve so the boys are comfortable. Listen, being comfortable is a year-round endeavor. It's not just when it's hot outside. It's not just when there's the potential for rash or chafing, as they like to say. No, it's year-round. Get you the underwear. Get you the salve. Get you the balm. Get you the cream. Get you the nose hair clippers. Get you everything you need to trim and keep proper. There's the crop preserver. There's the stuff that helps you out with every part of your body, not just down there. Go to manscaped.com right now, and if you use the promo code WARCHANT, you'll get 20% off. You really can't beat that. I'm saving you a ton of money. Promo code is WARCHANT for 20% off. Plus, by the way, fellas, free shipping to boot. So there's no reason not to go and check it out and find out how it is that you can look right and feel great year-round, no matter what. Every day you leave that house, you say, I'm buttoned up. The boys are comfortable. I'm ready to go. Manscaped.com, promo code WARCHANT. 20% off plus free shipping. Can't beat it.
Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee.
Jacksonville Jaguars making a couple of roster moves. They officially announced that receiver Gabe Davis has gone on injured reserve, and also rookie running back Keelan Robinson has been activated off of injured reserve. Robinson was selected in the 5th round of this year's draft. He suffered a toe injury in July, and he's been able to practice since his 21-day window was opened back on October 30th. Jaguars don't play again until December 1st when they match up against Houston. Moving to hockey, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they win yesterday over the Penguins 3-2 in overtime, while the Panthers fall to Winnipeg by a 6-3 score. This Sports Flash is brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun, and Gold, more than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Lowe's knows you want to get even more value for the holidays. That's why as a My Lowe's Rewards member, you get new member deals on holiday decor, tools, and more. And you earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards to help you save on holiday and more. Not a member? Join for free today at Lowe's.com/MyLowe'sRewards, because Lowe's knows deals. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
Let's go! ABC Canuck, country music's biggest nut, the CMA Award. Kicks off with this year's must-see collaboration, Post Malone featuring Chris Stapleton live. With electrifying performances by Lainey Wilson, Shabuzi, Ashley McBride, Luke Bryan, plus Thomas Rhett and Teddy Swift. Woo! Luke Bryan, Peyton Manning, and Lainey Wilson host the CMA Awards live tonight, 8/7 Central on ABC, and stream next day.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance. Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey, we've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage in crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
coordinator searches and the big boards, the coaching boards. We have them at warchant.com. I think every site that covers college football has them. Every site that covers Florida State football has them. Everybody's going to have them. We're at the time of the year where this is what happens. So you look into it and you start to see certain names that become commonplace on those lists. And not for nothing, they're usually pretty recent. They're usually somebody. Sometimes they're a name that's been around for a very long time, and they've had big jobs, and they're well known amongst most college football fans, and it's been a 15 or 20 year sustainable career of excellence, or at least very good. And others, and most of the time, this is where your interest is drawn, are rising stars in the industry. They're people that have had success at a smaller place that might be looking to take their wares to a bigger place. And you're intrigued by their successes, and you want to know what's their tree and who they are, what's their background, where they play if they played, what's their philosophy, what do they run. Doesn't matter if it's a defense coordinator or an offensive coordinator. You want to know those things because we all have preferences. I like this style of offense. Tom might like another. I like this kind of defense. You may like a different one. So we're going to look at all these things.
Oh, my God. He has a fullback in his offense?
Oh, buddy, I'd like that. I'd love for us to run some sort of throwback I formation right up your you know what. Take that on the road with you. That does some things. That stings. I'd like that, but I get that's not what a lot of people run anymore. One of those names is a candidate to be a head coach, to go from a coordinator who was perhaps in the mix for Florida State, certainly desired by many Florida State fans, who may now be in the mix to be a head coach. And I think it's a great illustration of how fickle this business is and how quickly a star can rise and fall. And it's the point I've been making a lot lately. There are no guarantees with any of this stuff. You saw it just the other day, right? I think you did anyhow, that Tom Herman. You guys remember when Tom Herman was a superstar? You guys recall this, right?
He was known just as Herman.
Tom Herman was a guy that, boy, lots of people thought couldn't miss. Tom Herman just got fired by Florida Atlantic. 6-16, 2-8 this year, 0-6 in the lowly AAC, 5-game losing streak. Their last two losses, 49-14 against East Carolina, 18-15 against Temple. Both of those games and those losses came against teams that did what? Had just fired their coach. So come on down, Tom Herman. You're the next to have been a superstar in the making. Can't miss. Texas got to grab them some Tom Herman. He's going to be elite. You know, he sways on the sideline. It's fun before kickoffs. He's got a hydration plan. Your pee has to look a certain way. If you play for Tom Herman, that's the way it goes. All of these idiosyncrasies, if you will, were lauded as things that made him unique and why he was having such success on and off the field, connecting with players and getting them to execute. Until he wasn't. Until he was pretty much out of the sport as of a weekend ago. Now he's persona non grata and he sucks. He's a bum and he was a clown for doing those things in the past. Those aren't cute and cool. Those are signs that you've always been a buffoon. Hey, it's happening with our own fan base. Every time they see a video of Mike Norvell racing his team, you know, I always thought that was stupid. This is why the kids connect with him, said E.J. Manuel. I'd play for a coach that races his team every day. Would you, E.J.? If they were 1-9? Or does this make him look like a clown? Not buttoned up, not serious enough. We can keep going. A lot of guys across the country, once painted as eccentric and cool and unique, The next great thing that has failed miserably, and those eccentricities made him a quirky loser as soon as the game started to go the other way.
I believe it's the original Gladiator. The mob is fickle, brother.
Signetti right now is a guy that has quirks that people find hilarious. His press conferences, including his first one. He said it himself. What makes him unique? I win, Google me. Now, you might find that to be not an ideal response, fitting of a head coach of a Big Ten school. Or when he wins, you might think it's the right kind of arrogance we need. So I say that to say this. The guy I'm referencing that might be the next head coach at Florida Atlantic is a guy on our list. And I don't know, maybe he's great. Maybe he's going to be a great head coach or a great coordinator, maybe for us, or maybe not. Maybe he'll fail miserably. Brennan Marion is the offensive coordinator. You've heard his name quite a bit lately. He's at UNLV. He's a former Dolphins wideout who lived in Boynton Beach, not far from the Owls campus. Many people are calling for him to be the next head coach at FAU. He has been very successful in a brief college coaching career. He was at 2 stops on the FCS level, for those that don't know, before getting an opportunity to go to the UNLV Rebels, who, in my lifetime, have done exactly nothing ever in college football. But they're having success now, and he's helped transform that program offensively into a winner, no doubt. Number 6 in the country in third down offense will carry the day. Number 8 in red zone offense. And he lost a starting quarterback early in the year. And he's still done all of those things. And he's very high on our board. By the way, I'll give you another person that's also on the list of people that FAU are said to be looking at. He's currently on Florida State staff. That's right, Pat Surtain. Southern Miss, his alma mater, wants him, and most think that's where he's going to go. But now, include him on the list of people that want him, being FAU. Maybe. They'd like an interview. I think it's been a mixed bag for Pat so far at Florida State. I think from a recruiting standpoint, we see the benefits of who he is and his reputation.
Home run, I think. Yeah.
Scheme standpoint, not so much. Not seeing a whole lot of success. We never, ever pick off a pass. We don't make plays in that secondary that he coaches. We don't make plays. Is that his fault? I don't know. Is it Adam's fault? Is it Randy's fault? Is it Odell's fault? I don't know. Put them all together, they're not having a lot of success. This defense stinks. I think the point is that, look, a lot of these guys, and I've been saying it a lot lately, whether it's a guy that, currently is on your radar because of the successes that he's having and that you're getting excited by, or because of connections to somebody you're excited by, or a region that you're excited by. Look, University of Miami right now, Shannon Dawson, everybody knows who he is. Offense coordinator, leads the number 1 offense in the country. Guy's doing great. He's a candidate for the FAU job right now. He's relatively young. People love him. They think he's going to be a slam dunk. He's a Broyles Award nominee for Assistant Coach of the Year. Cam Ward's really good. They've been really good. That offense be really good without Cam Ward? Is this the genius of Shannon Dawson, or is it Cam Ward?
Well, and multiple transfers they have on that offense. They brought in some excellent one-year talent. Excellent one-year talent.
Ole Miss offensive coordinator, which we really know is the head coach. Guess who is the offensive coordinator there? If you didn't know, it's Charlie Weiss Jr., the son of Fat Ass. And those poor belts that held on desperately for life.
Rhinestone adorned, yes.
As the fibers held and said, hold, he's sitting down.
I think it's only fitting.
He's on the cooler.
That the superior NFL mind that was Charlie Weiss was privy to, and I believe offensive coordinator for, the 2011 Florida State-Florida game, the Punt Fest.
Well, I thought it was the head coach, wasn't he?
I don't think he was. No, not Florida's head coach.
Oh, OC. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I believe I remember him with the cane, walking around on the field with the cane in that 2011 game.
It was not a pimp cane.
He might have woken up his offense, though, if he used the cane to pimp slap somebody.
Oh,
we need a first down. Can we get a first down? Look at this cane. There you go.
What year did he have the pimp cane?
I believe it was 11.
Yeah, he was OC in 11. Yeah, he had come. That is the fun. Charlie Weiss really did do a good job of marrying having been on the New England Patriots staff with a lot of jobs.
Inherent advantage.
He was the tight ends coach, then he was the running back coach, then he was the wide receiver coach, then he went to the Jets where he was the OC, then he got back with New England where he was the OC. That parlayed him into the head coaching position at Notre Dame in 2005. He failed after having stated that they had an inherent advantage from a schematic standpoint because of his in-depth knowledge of how to call plays. Once fired after a brief stint at Notre Dame, he went to the Kansas City Chiefs for a singular season. They ushered him out of there after 1 year, and Florida said, well, we'll hire you. We think there's a chance. Wasn't there very long. In fact, just the singular season in 2011, and then he went to Kansas for 2 years, and he's no longer in coaching.
He's on Sirius XM, I think.
I think he got fired from that too, and if he didn't, he should have been. It's the worst show ever put together on Sirius XM.
I don't know.
Oh, buddy.
Their director of sports programming kind of sucks.
I'm just going to tell you, I used to try to listen in the mornings. I liked the NFL Network. He was unlistenable. He couldn't breathe. He was gasping for air between points.
I gave the College Channel a try today because they moved your guy earlier in the day. They moved Neuheisel, I think, earlier in the day. So the midday show was Chris Budden and Ben Hartsock. And I don't know. I might have started to harm myself to instead of changing the channel. It's
a rotating bunch. Having been on that channel myself, I will tell you that what happens at SiriusXM is very interesting. If you work for and I got to be careful because I still occasionally do a little work for SiriusXM. If you work for what in the radio terms is considered a program director, it's different in satellite radio, but it's akin. If you have a program director that you have a good rapport with and that likes you and that maybe even hired you, you're in good standing.
Yeah.
You got a shot.
Even if you're god awful at the job.
Even if you're god awful or even if you're great, neither is stable. Because the second that guy parlays that gig or that gal parlays that gig to another gig, either within SiriusXM or at an actual radio station somewhere in a big market, they bring in somebody else. And that somebody is going to live or die with their people. And this is a lot like what happens in professional sports or college sports. If you're the athletic director that hired a coach, you get a little bit of leeway as that coach, as long as that athletic director's there. He's your guy. Now, if you fail, that's a major failure for the athletic director, and now his ass is in the jackpot.
Yeah, somehow listening to a few minutes of that today reminded me of watching us on defense play zone, because the host made a joke, left the floor open for a guest who they cannot see, and the guest went, yeah, and then the host responded with, yeah.
Oh,
and we're at 10 seconds now.
It's uncomfortable.
And then the guest spoke and tossed it to the other co-host and said, "What do you think, Ben?"
Well, I will tell you, it's inherently.
I just saw visions of 3rd and 16, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh God, 3 people are covering one guy in the flats."
It is a flawed system, and the reason being that you can't always see your co-host, and there is a delay, and it is strange how this works. To put a ribbon on it, Tom Herman, who you recall at Houston, beat Jimbo Fisher and was a rising star in the business, a guy that at a young age was a wide receiver coach in the late 90s, early 2000s, was a GA at Texas, goes on to Sam Houston State, goes on to Texas State, goes on to Rice, then Iowa State, and his star continued to rise. And everybody believed
All I know is Rise.
that he'd be great. At Sam Houston State, they went 11-3. At Texas State, he joined as an offensive coordinator. They led the Southland Conference in total offense. His star continued to rise. He goes to Rice. After that, say it, Tom.
All I know is Rice.
They ranked in the top 10 nationally in passing offense, scoring offense, total offense. 2 different receivers had more than 1,300 yards receiving. Guess what happened to Tom Herman? He got hired at Iowa State. He was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Iowa State's 52 points in a win over Texas Tech marked the first time they'd ever dropped that many points in a conference game in 38 years. He's a star. Urban Meyer sees Tom Herman, says, I like you. Tabs him as offensive coordinator with the Buckeyes in 2011. Star continues to rise. Had the 4th-ranked offense in the country, playing with backup quarterbacks. Wins the Broyles Award for top assistant in all of college football. Gets the Houston job because of it. He's the new head coach. So there it was. You saw the meteoric rise. You watched Tom Herman, and you went, this guy is can't miss. Everything he touches turns to gold. Goes to Houston. Becomes the head football coach. Goes 11-1. Wins the Western Division of the American Athletic Conference. I bet you forgot that. We all did. Beat Temple's ass. 24-13. Temple's like, I remember it. Goes on to have more success. 2016, they slipped to 9-3, but that's the basement for Houston at that point.
Well, they had seen us in the Peach Bowl and took us down.
Yes, they had. That year that they went 9-3, they got victories over Oklahoma and Louisville. So even though it wasn't a banner year, it was a good year.
It was Oklahoma on opening weekend. I remember that.
Went 22-4 at Houston, and Texas said, we got to have it. You're right here in our backyard. I'll be damned if I'm going to get shown up by Houston. And Texas hired him. Didn't work out. Goes to the Chicago Bears on the coaching staff as an analyst. Doesn't work out there. Becomes the head coach at Florida Atlantic. Just got fired from Florida Atlantic. He replaced Willie Taggart, who was a rising star in the coaching industry. He went 6-16, 3-11 in conference play at FAU, and is now in danger of not having a job. He's persona non grata. He's thought of as an a-hole, and his teams are garbage. Tom Herman doesn't know what he's doing. He was Broyles Award winner less than 12 years ago, less than 13 years ago. He's not old.
Won multiple New Year's Six Bowls, one against us, one against Georgia when he was at Texas.
Tom Herman's not even 50 years old. No guarantees, man. All these guys know a lot of football. All these guys have had their moments. All these guys, if in the right place at the right time, in the right system, in the right year, can have amazing runs. And it's the catalyst for bigger runs in the future at bigger jobs in a lot of cases. And other times it's guys that start off in a place that's impossible to win, don't garner any attention, have mediocre careers, bounce around from conference to conference, league to league, city to city, until they land at just the right spot at just the right time. And the next thing you know, you go, that dude is 60 years old and they're undefeated. How did nobody know about this guy? Did he just suddenly get smart? He was a dumbass for the previous 28 years of his college coaching career? I don't know what Mike Norvell should do and who he should hire, is what I'm getting at. I think I have some people that I like, and you do too. Some of it makes more sense than others, but there are no guarantees. And this is one example of about 25 that I looked up this morning. I just remembered we all saw Tom Herman up close in person.
Yeah, no, I tend to back off in these discussions too about, hot boards and I used to love this discussion, but now it's so much more important about fit when you're talking about the way something is schemed. Now, you can look at a guy and see track record for recruiting. Like that, I think, is more cut and dry.
But in today's era of recruiting, is it really the same?
I think if you have a resume, because some of these guys out there in consideration, do, that you've pulled 4- and 5-star players from multiple time zones, like then there's something to you.
Oh, you're a relationships guy. Sure.
Right. You're able to convince players and or parents and or high school coaches from different backgrounds and this country has a lot of different pockets. That's why politics is fascinating. If we can get away from hating each other, the politics is fascinating in this country because we're just so different in different corners of the country. And if you tell me that you can put a guy on a private jet, he can go out to Cali as quick as he can go out to Amarillo, Texas, and he can go get yeses from kids, like that's impressive to me. But
even that game's changed a lot.
Sure. But when you're talking about their offense or their philosophies, man, it's the puzzle board is already laid out, and they're supposed to fit into it under the vision of the head coach. And are they cut the right way to fit? I don't know. That's the part that we just cannot see.
Well,
and you won't know. You won't know until you get into the job. Like Walt Bell, one of the great indicators that was never going to work is you asked him a very simple question before the first game
about his role. Yes.
What do you do? Essentially is what you asked him.
I did ask him, what do you do?
Like, where does your responsibility end and Willie's begin and vice versa? Because he's an offensive mind. And his answer in 1,000 words?
Gibberish.
I don't know.
It was a word salad. It didn't make any sense.
I don't know what my job is. My job is to make his life easier. Other than that, specific job duties, I don't know.
I like Tyler Santucci. I can't guarantee you that Tyler Santucci is going to go from Georgia Tech to Florida State and work magic. I can't guarantee you that what he did at Duke or what he did with Elko at any of his stops.
If it works, it's just self-fulfilling.
He was at Texas A&M too. I maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
If it works for him, then the base and people in the business will say, well, he was a fast riser. He was always going to succeed. If it doesn't, well, I mean, look, it was Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was we should have seen that coming. Why would you hire a guy from Georgia Tech?
No, what they'll say, yes, Tom, but they'll also say, well, I mean, everybody knew it was Elko's defense.
Right.
That's what they'll say because he was with Elko at 2 stops. So it's like, I mean, well, everybody knows Elko's the genius there. Well, he wasn't when he wasn't the head coach. He was a defensive coordinator, a rising star in the industry until he got a shot. Then it was Elko's system.
He could go to Georgia Tech and turn them around, but Florida State's a different animal. He was never going to be able to do that.
It is fascinating. I think we get back. What I've been harping on and what I will continue to harp on is more big picture stuff. And that is that I think Mike has to figure out where he went wrong, where the message fell flat, where the disconnect occurred and why. The changes he needs to make within himself. He's going to get this opportunity, whether we think he should or shouldn't. Doesn't matter. The fan base has debated this now. We've all debated it. I can put forth a lot of arguments to say he's got zero chance to turn this around. There's a lot of evidence that suggests he's dead man walking. There's plenty of evidence that says college football is weirder than it's ever been. It's a different landscape entirely than any situation we've seen similar to this in the past. So maybe we'll get a dissimilar result. Perhaps I'll grant you that too. I personally, there's another part of this, like Mike. I like Mike personally. I like Mike. I'd like to see Mike make it. I think there are a lot of great qualities to Mike Norvell, the man. I think there are a lot of great qualities to Mike Norvell, the coach. But there's no getting around that Mike Norvell has failed. This is an embarrassment beyond reason. It makes zero sense. But I also know people are very complicated. It's incredible what happens. We've admired people who've made terrible mistakes, and we've idolized people that we didn't know were terrible human beings, and we've done everything in between, and some of it ourselves, right? So it's polarizing, but I keep seeing names from the fan base, either former Noles or certain can't-miss coaches, and I'm here to say that there is no such thing. There's no such thing. We just watched a man go 12-0 in the regular season and is sitting here at 1-9. Never thought that was possible.
He was a can't miss.
And from that point forward, he was.
Yeah, at 12-0, he was a can't miss. Look, you can argue whether you believe that Alabama offered him the job relative to DeBoer or whatever, but he was on the short list.
Sure.
He got the phone call. And you don't get the phone. They're not going to waste their time. So the thing if you're going to make the argument for him to bounce back is he's already been in the abyss and he's found a way out of it. Different circumstances, yes, but look, if you show the ability to go from, dead and buried to conference champion, you've got something to you that will help you when you need to make decisions to stay calm when everybody else is panicking.
Oh, I don't
he's
think
going to need that in spades.
Yeah, I don't think he's panicking. I mean, he's probably under immense pressure, the kind of pressure that doesn't allow you to sleep, the kind of he has to feel a certain professional embarrassment. I'm not crossing over into the personal. I think he feels a professional embarrassment. There's no doubt. You'd have to. He better. It better be part of what fuels him, that this can never happen again. But as far as these candidates and who's going to, guarantee that Florida State's back and elite again, that candidate doesn't exist unless we hire Nick Saban tomorrow. And even then, I'd have questions. I'd have questions because it's a different era, and he got away from the game because he hated what was happening in the sport. So would he really commit himself in the way that he did when he was first at Alabama? Probably not. He's also old. So it's just like, you're like, well, I don't know.
So quit asking.
If you get a DEXA scan, it'll measure, I should say, your body composition, and it's the most accurate of all of those tests that read into how healthy you are or are not. It's a near perfect clinical diagnosis in terms of measurement of visceral fat and bone density and the kinds of things that will educate you to go about the process of working out smarter, not harder. They recommend getting one of those every 3 to 6 months. You can get one as we speak right now. There is a DexaFit in Tallahassee. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. The DexaFit location here in Tallahassee is next to Bumpus. A lot of delicious food. So maybe you get your workout in, you go over there, you get your DEXA scan, and go get you something delicious at Bumpus. Bumpus wings are highly underrated.
Yeah, they aren't in the discussion as much as they should be.
They should be mentioned more. I know this is a DexaFit ad. I'm just saying.
And the Brussels sprouts, too.
Well, those are unbelievable. I could eat a bowl of those Brussels sprouts, a giant bowl.
Just if you're going to be in a car ride home, be alone in the car. Unless you don't like the people that you're driving with, then by all means.
Steph Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
From Falmers. Are you looking for that hard-to-find person on your Christmas list? At Falmers, we are loaded down with one-of-a-kind items. Vintage guitars, pre-owned tools, electronics. Did you know we carry Louis Vuitton purses, bags, and wallets? Falmers has a large selection of new and pre-owned firearms. And don't forget about our large selection of gold and silver jewelry, all discounted at 50% off. At Falmers, we make your dollars go further. Shop early for the best selection, and don't forget to ask about our great layaway plan. Falmers Pawn, 2 times more than you might expect, with 2 great locations. This is Alex from Falmers. We've been buying gold and silver jewelry, fine watches, and other collectibles for over 45 years. But did you know Falmers buys and sells gold and silver coins, bars, and bullion? Don't get scammed online or pay high shipping and handling fees. Call or stop by Falmers for a quick and easy quote. No matter if you're new to investing in bullion or have been collecting a lifetime, Falmers is your local source for buying, selling gold and silver coins and bullion. Falmers, more than you might expect, with 2 great locations. Know your body and transform your life with DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to for science-backed health insights. Their DEXA scan gives you the most accurate body composition available, measuring bone density, muscle mass, and both subcutaneous and visceral fat. Get the data you need to track progress and make real changes. Your VO2 max is the best indicator of health and longevity, but it offers more than just a number. It shows respiratory function, calories burned at different intensities, and whether your body burns fat or carbs, helping you train smarter. DexaFit's RMR test reveals how many calories you burn at rest and the type of fuel your body uses, so you can dial in your diet for weight loss, muscle gain, or maintenance. And their red light therapy soothes sore muscles, reduces inflammation, and rejuvenates your skin. Right now, get a DEXA scan and red light therapy for just $99. That's a $184 value. Call 850-510-7728 or visit DexaFit Tallahassee's website to book. Know your body and transform your life this fall with DexaFit.
I'm Robert, and I'm a general pest technician at Paul's Termite and Pest Control. I have a fantastic job working for an amazing company. Every day, I take great satisfaction in knowing the work I do helps protect the health of the customers I'm honored to serve and their pets too. Many are now my friends. Paul's is a local North Florida-based company, and they are constantly teaching all of us techs about the ever-changing needs of our unique part of the world.
I'm Jay, and having the privilege to work with people like Robert and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We're North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Don't miss TSC Tuesdays every Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. during the Greg Tish Show. Find out what's happening at Tallahassee State College every Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Science-packed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
This is Brian Kilmeade, and I'm excited to be on the air in the capital city. Be sure to tune into my show. I'll be giving you all the latest news, information, and the truth you demand. The Brian Kilmeade Show is live from 9 till noon, right here on Real Talk 93.3.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Rolling on, Big River. Steve, I did not see that you contributed to the program. Appreciate you doing that after watching Memphis at the snap reset both lines of scrimmage. Linebackers play like 150 pounds. Running backs go down. First contact. Why not address the strength and conditioning guy? Oh, I think everybody is being addressed, Steve. Josh Storms is not off the hook here. Now, go ahead.
From Mike's perspective, that seems like that's not going to be a change. He spoke Monday about the operation, the evaluation. He was asked about front office and strength and conditioning. His response pointed towards more of, the numbers are there, but we need the players to do what the numbers suggest that they can do.
Yeah.
Than it is.
Yeah, he's citing more of an effort issue.
Yeah. He's going as far as he can at this point without crossing the line that no one shall cross, where the coach just says, my guys don't care.
Yeah, so the evidence is clear they don't care. I see plenty of gains in strength from 1 year to the next. I'm not an expert in the field. It's not my vocation. But I will tell you that I know reputationally he's well thought of in the industry. I don't mean amongst press members or people that, I'm talking about that industry. He's well thought of. Josh Storms is. I will also tell you that while I'm trying to phrase this the right way without stepping on the toes of people who have advanced degrees and have spent their life working on exercise physiology and nutrition. It's not, it's not like the guy in Nebraska and the guy in Tennessee and the guy in Florida all look at the world of fitness and nutrition very differently. If you're up at a level where you have the education and you're aware of the latest developments in exercise physiology and nutrition, you know the same things. You know what the guy in Oregon knows, and he knows what you know. It's not dissimilar to, and I point this out all the time about, X's and O's of football. The thing that typically separates coaches isn't one's vast knowledge of a scheme over another individual's knowledge of that same scheme. It's not that. They both know those things. They both could go up on the whiteboard and tell you exactly why this is this and this is that, and here's why, and this is what you do to counter that look, and here they could all do that. What you do in the moment that you call the play and what you do to teach it and get people to execute it.
Right. It's the people. It's what you do to influence the people you have with you and to take all the information you have in a given setting and apply it on the fly in the moment, because it can be this guy gets scared. He tightens up on this route.
Yeah.
So on a 3rd and 6 when I got to have it, first of all, he's not going to be the first guy I throw it to. And secondly, he hates this one route. So we're not going to call that play. Or, hey man, my guy was banged up in practice this past Tuesday. Nobody knows it. I do, but we're going to call the game away from this part of his game because he's not healthy enough to handle it. Like, all of those calculations must be done, and that's people.
Here you go. I want to get to this. Hog Watcher, good job, because this is something that you can bring up in regards to coaches and changes and anything you might want to see. The strength and conditioning team spends a lot of time with the players more than the coaches. Coach Norvell may want to change the entire voice of the program. This is too bad not to, is what he's going on to say. The strength and conditioning coach is really, really important for that very reason. It's not just about the workouts and getting a guy to gain weight or lose weight or certain types of functional strength and all of the things that the players everywhere work on. Frankly, anybody who goes to a personal trainer works on, right? But the point would be, they do talk directly with players on a daily basis and a much more consistent basis than segment group coaches and head coaches, for sure. And they are messengers. They do carry the torch, if you will, for the modus operandi of a coach, right? And you know, you do need a guy who is, for lack of a better term, implementing the things that you believe to be important within and instill in your program. You do need that consistency. That voice has to be unwaveringly yours as well.
Yeah.
We talk about consistency of message.
Sure. Yes, it needs to be from the top down. We were just having this discussion about baseball, off the air. If you have an organizational
your minor league system, yes,
your Florida State League, your New York Penn League single A teams need to be doing the same things that your double A, triple A, and your big club are doing. That's how you have the vision extend from top to bottom. And that's where it's important for freshmen that come on campus, walk-ons that might be, a PWO turns into a player. It's all these little things add up. The thing I would say is, just from what I've seen, and this is the other part, we get great access, but it's still but a morsel of the total picture
of what
the
they
operation.
do every day,
They
right?
don't give us access to the meeting rooms. They don't give us access to the
any
live
of those
sessions.
conversations. None of it. Yes,
this is important. But Mike Norvell did go on record saying that their numbers in the weight room were as good as they've ever been this offseason.
Yeah.
So in a way, I say, well, then Storms has done his job. I hear you about the culture. And
I don't
so
have a
forth,
problem with
setting the
Storms. A lot
culture.
of people do. I don't have a problem with Storms.
So-
I think the team is soft, and it's not because of Storms.
I tend to agree with the limited amount that we see, which is more than most. It's not a complaint. What I do know is I've seen, in my time, 15 years covering the program, a lot of different practice styles. Jimbo's practice is the one that I would want to be a part of least, in terms of the
difficulty.
difficulty.
Yeah, they're always repping. Nobody's standing around.
If you're looking for the toughness factor, I'd point to practice before I point to the weight room.
100% agree with you, and I have called this out.
But it worked, and they won 19 in a row with that practice.
But
method,
I still ripped it then. It's just that doesn't resonate when we're winning, and I can't harp on it.
Because it's working. I mean, whether or not.
But you can still say that it masks a flawed process, and this is something that bothered me before. And you go back, you know it.
I do,
because I say it to you probably ad nauseum. Go back and check the tape, people. I have said many times, I ripped that defensive staff last year when they were in the midst of having the season that they did. Now, I got a lot of things wrong. This is not me trying to. This is not revisionist. I'm not trying to say, oh, well, I knew this and knew that. I didn't know they were going to go 1-9. Obviously, I didn't think they'd come close to going 1-9. And I didn't think the program was going to fall off a cliff. Never saw it coming. Never. In camp, I thought they were going to be good, and I said as much. I couldn't have been more wrong. I got it completely wrong. I thought they'd be a good football team, and they are not a good football team. Full stop. But there were things about the way they worked that I never liked. And I said that to you, and I've said it on the air. I didn't love this defensive staff. Specifics of the people I ripped.
Yeah.
It started with the previous defensive backs coach.
You people think he's a broken record. He says different things, Jeff does, away from the air, and they're interesting.
So all I know is that these kinds of things, the flawed process is exposed sometimes even when you're good, but it's especially exposed when you're bad because all your worst traits come to the forefront, and it's people fall out of favor. It's the same with popularity and everything else, right? They were always there. So-and-so was always an egomaniac. Now it was revealed because they're not having as much success, and they said something on camera and it got picked up, and you're like, the guy's still the same guy he was 20 years ago when you loved him. It's just these things happen all the time, and I get it. But I do think this is a great opportunity for Mike to instill greater toughness with the coaches that he hires and then what he demands of himself and those coaches. Everything from practice to, the way you go about demanding coaches go and recruit and all that sort of thing. I mean, Mike has to we're talking about a total changeover here, a total makeover.
Well, the one question you could ask, and it's rhetorical in nature, but it's fun to explore. Could Storms or a strength coach have seen this coming from a heart standpoint, from an investment standpoint? Like, did a strength coach whiff in not seeing this coming?
I don't think so, because if you're setting personal records,
right? Yeah.
If the team collectively is stronger and putting up numbers than they've ever put up, and individually they're getting bigger, getting stronger, and those individual measurements are a sign of hard work and buy-in, it's not going to reveal itself to you in that way.
By me asking that question, I'm not saying that I believe that he could have. It's just, I think if people are going to argue, and we see it in the chat, I mean, already there's some people, this is what the whole thing started with, a $5 contribution. Why isn't he held accountable? I think if you're of the mind that the strength coach should be under the microscope here, you think that the strength coach could have seen it coming. The one other thing I'd say is it's not as on an island as it used to be for strength coaches. In the summers, coaches can now work with the players.
Yeah.
It's not the same. There are restrictions on what they can do, but it used to be the players could only check in the office, in the football offices, to go talk to their coaches. That was at least what the letter of the law demanded, is that the coaches could not get on the field and put their eyes on what the players were doing in their quote-unquote voluntary workouts. But the coaching staff itself is now connected in a way in the last few years that, I think it renders the strength coach thing a little bit more moot than it used to be.
And I also think there was a time, just like in any field, right? We see transitions in technology. We see it in the medical field. We see it in techniques in teaching, right? We see it in any number of things, number of fields that we're all interested in or affected by or utilize. A new way of doing things, a new technology. Takes a little while. And so back in the day, if a strength and conditioning coach went out on a limb and said, I think we're doing this all wrong, and he had a PhD and he had done studies in which he was able to show that you'd be better at producing whatever it was you were trying to produce if you did this, 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 and this. And he got the okay from a head coach. He said, I think you're on the cutting edge. I'm hiring you. I believe in you. And then it worked. Pretty soon, as everything does, it caught on and everybody did it. They're like, you know what? That guy in Nebraska in the 80s, he had it. He's right. We should be doing workouts this way if we want our linemen to be this kind of strong. And then they did. And then everybody did. And then there's a lull, and everybody does it that way for a very long time until somebody else, some other up-and-coming superstar within the industry goes, you know what, guys? That was true. But you know what you didn't realize? If you do that plus this, this, and this on your off days, you'll get an even greater gain. And then guess what happens? Once it's proven to work, everybody adapts it.
They come in with a George Costanza flair. And they say, all right, guys, you ready for this one? Bulgarian deadlifts. Bulgarian deadlifts.
Yeah.
Once lauded. It's been forgotten since the 70s. Take a look at this movement and tell me this isn't football. Look at the Bulgarian deadlift.
Right. And it's just interesting. But the point is, unless you're at the cutting edge, everything else gets snatched up, copied right away. Same with plays. Same with offenses. I think it's intriguing to use the voice thing. If you say he's a voice, he's an extension of the head coach, he sees them more than anybody, and maybe you want to change that voice. Okay, if you want to make that argument after a disastrous season. I don't necessarily want to make that argument, but if somebody does, I could hear it.
It's just I think we're on the same page here. That is it the weight room or the practice field? What would you point
I'd lean
to
towards
first?
the practice field. I have for a while. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A driver was left with minor injuries after its tractor trailer hit a cow early Monday morning in Taylor County and caused a fuel leak. The crash unfolded a little before 6 a.m. on U.S. Highway 19 south of Austin McDonald Road. The tractor trailer was traveling east when a cow traveled into the roadway and was hit. The truck then traveled across the inside southbound lane of U.S. Highway 19 and jackknifed as it entered the center grass median. The crash caused a fuel leak to rupture, causing a leak. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection responded to assess the leakage. The owner of the cow is unknown at this time. Former Big Bend teacher Kelly Vinson is collecting blessing baskets for families in need days before Thanksgiving, which will include everything needed for the meal. She has been in contact with guidance counselors at W.T. Moore, Cheers, Buck Lake, Appalachia, Sable Palm, and Rudiger elementary schools to help identify families in need and ensure they receive a basket. This is Rick Chilene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 79 this afternoon. Under clear skies, northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 47 tonight. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow, 62. Ample sunshine and dry Friday and Saturday, upper 50s. Friday, low 60s by Saturday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 78.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. You two at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean,
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Feel like a game week to you?
No, it's funny driving in today. It feels like Saturday
football this Saturday, guys.
It feels like a bowl week. Like this is going to be an exhibition. But you know what? I'll take the result that I'm expecting to come.
So I asked this question yesterday. I asked it to the chat today. The questions that came into Seminole headlines yesterday, one of them was kind of not really a tisk towards the three of us, but it was sort of a, forgive me if I don't completely feel comfortable with assuming a win over Charleston Southern on Saturday. That was the angle taken by the person questioning. And they said, look, I get it. I mean, yes, Charleston Southern is awful, And I mean, for folks that need a reminder, it's a short segment. I'm going to give you the reminder. Here you go. Okay. Now they just lost in overtime last week. I think they're 1-10.
They do run the option.
This is their final game of the year. Here we go. Charleston Southern, your passport to purpose. If you go to their website,
VIP passport to purpose.
Anyhow, so let's athletics. There we go, Jeff. You're on top. Welcome to Buck Nation. And here we go. Tough day at the office these days for the Buck Club, as they call it. Very, very similar to East Tennessee State, by the way. So here we go. They are 1-10, 0-8 in their conference. It's been a tough time. They have lost this year to the Citadel in a close one, 22-21. Furman, they beat. That's their one win, 24-20. What is going on at Paladin Stadium? They lost to Richmond 38-0. They lost to Tennessee State 13-9. They lost to Western Illinois 31-20. They lost to Lindenwood 29-14. Once again, Lindenwood is in St. Charles, Missouri. They lost to Southeast Missouri State, SEMU 26-13. They lost to Tennessee Tech 28-23. They lost to Gardner-Webb 17-14. They lost to UT Martin 40-14, and they just lost to Eastern Illinois out of the Big South OVC, Charleston, Illinois, O'Brien Field 16-13 in overtime. That's their resume as they head to Tallahassee, Florida, Doak Campbell Stadium, Saturday at 1:30, everybody's favorite kickoff time. And that
never knew that was a kickoff time until this week.
It certainly suggests you ought to beat that team. What if he doesn't? Would it change anything about how you currently feel?
It would change the ratings of the postgame show. I promise you.
What if he loses to a team that got beat by Gardner-Webb and Lindenwood?
Mike, somebody else is going to be making the coordinator hires.
Final hour forthcoming.
Best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless in zero gravity. All of the weight and worry of life is melted away, and you fall into a state of profound relaxation. This is what you'll find at Tallulah CBD Mushrooms THC in Railroad Square when you try out their state-of-the-art floating pods. While you're there, shop for the best quality CBD, mushrooms, THC, and kava products available. Shop Tallulah today with 6 locations in Tallahassee and the Kava Bar Lounge in Bannerman Crossing. Online at TallulahSmokes.com.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Sellers, are you stuck between wanting to sell your home and waiting for rates to fall? Are you worried about the contingency of having to sell your home? What if you didn't have to? With a 2-1 rate buy down, you can lock in a lower interest rate for the first 2 years of your mortgage and get the home you want now, all while having a higher chance to buy that next home with the contingency of selling yours. If you wait for rates to fall, you risk more competition, sellers less likely to wait, and paying more for that next property. If you're stuck, we need to talk. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. That's 954-369-6171. And don't forget, for every loan we close for our fellow Noles, I will personally donate $250 to the Battle's End.
Equal housing rent. NMLS number 373031.
Oh, whoa! Check out Pinch a Penny.
We're stocked to the rafters with Hot Spring Spas.
A recognized leader. Imagine the fun of the holidays with warmth, relaxation, and lovely bubbles. Oh, it's 30 home spas for you to see right now. Affordable right now, too. Up to $2,000 off. Or special financing. Ask for details.
Is the world stressing you out?
Fight back. Now to assure these prices. Pinch a Penny, open 7 days a week on Career Road.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
WVFT Gretna, Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Palmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
Ole Miss Rebels, a 10.5-point favorite of the Swamp in Gainesville against the Florida Gators, 55.5 the total. Georgia Bulldogs laying 42 against UMass. 55.5 the total at Sanford Stadium. South Florida laying 17 against Tulsa at Raymond James Stadium. The total 60.5. Coming up in college basketball today, the Jacksonville Dolphins 11-point underdogs at Virginia Tech. The total 136 at the Castle Coliseum. Last night, Florida 84, Florida A&M 60. The Gators win but did not cover as 36-point favorites. Cash back for every bet with a GBank signature Visa card. VSIN.com/GBank. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Finding the perfect gifts for everyone on your list takes time, and the holidays can get a little busy. So let Macy's help you get a jump on your shopping with our Black Friday sale happening right now. It's your chance to find the best deals on the best gifts before the holiday rush, like cozy puffers and coats and more of the season's best styles. So get your gifts at Macy's now, and when you're cool, calm, and collected during holiday crunch time, you'll have yourself and Macy's to thank. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free bonus sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
T-Smart Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Smart. T-SmartConstruction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Smart Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Smart. T-SmartConstruction.com.
CCC 1331204.
At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we know if you have something in your home that's not supposed to be there, you want it gone now.
Not in a couple of days, not tomorrow, but today. That's why we offer a same-day guarantee.
If you call Paul's before 12, one of our technicians will be out before 5. We guarantee it.
The health of you, your family, and your pets is why we promise to do everything possible to quickly resolve your problem.
And we do so using the safest chemicals. Notice a pest problem?
Call Paul's Termite and Pest Control before 12, and we're there before 5.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
We're all spending more time at home than we ever have.
And our yards have become more than something we look at through the window. They are now a major part of our refuge.
Now that we're outside more, wouldn't it be great if we could eliminate the things that make us want to run back inside? Pests like mosquitoes and fire ants.
Paul's Pest Control can do just that, and will do it for a surprisingly low cost.
Our treatments are done outside. There is never a reason to enter your home.
The weather is beautiful, and now is the time to be outside.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control will help you take your yard back.
Call us for a free consultation.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We lay the wood to Charleston Southern this weekend, huh? There we go, everybody. Will it be widely celebrated? Will the town be abuzz after a victorious Saturday at Doak? No. They better win. We posed the question at the end of the last hour. What if he doesn't? You mentioned they run the option.
Yeah, Mike did today. Yeah.
Kind of got to, be disciplined against the option.
Just dive at their feet. Mickey Andrews, 2009.
Got to kind of be where you're supposed to be. I don't think they'll lose, Tom. Just thinking that
I'm not even entertaining what you're putting in the air. Not doing it. Not biting. I see you.
Saying, man.
You realize that we put people in conflict when we run. Nope, not doing
it. All offenses are left to die when you reset the line of scrimmage. So as long as that is done, then you'll probably be in pretty good shape, right? If a Farmer and Jackson decide they want to play, I'm going to have a hard time believing the Charleston Southern at 1-10 this year as the horses up front to block those two individuals who are hopefully motivated. Because if so, that changes everything about whatever the hell offense you want to run. And then it could be fun. And it would be a lot of fun. Shame we can't add to the interception totals, though, if they're out here running option for the most part. They're so paltry as they are. I'd like to see an uptick there maybe for a few of those guys.
Is that going to be the first question? Coach, I understand that to a large degree turnovers can be random. What are your thoughts on interceptions? And will you bring us some?
It's funny you say that because a lot of the evidence suggests that turnovers are random. And then there's the evidence that you're not any good at creating turnovers whatsoever, which is going on a couple of years worth of data points now, huh?
I mean, Coach, you got to understand where we're coming from here. It might be a person from the beat. I'm a media member, not even a Florida State grad or fan. Been here for about 10 years. Everything from Harlan Barnett's guys who don't turn around to this recent defense that, while dominant,
good old Harlan Barnett.
Interceptions just are very, very hard to come by. What do you think about them? Do you like them? And what's your strategy to have interceptions returned to Tallahassee?
Can you imagine the response, the reaction if a Florida State team next year or the year after, anywhere in the near future, was like in the top 10 in creating turnovers? We wouldn't know what to do with ourselves. We go into every game never expecting to see a turnover. It is kind of crazy. It's really unlucky. I know David Hale earlier this year put it out there and had the statistics with it, in which, the amount of times teams fumbled against us and we couldn't land on it defied logic. None of the odds suggested you could be at that low a percentage of times that the ball was on the ground and not have it fall into your arms at least once. A couple of those games could have been won had we managed to.
Georgia Tech. Yeah. There's a key one for Tech because the next play, Haynes King makes a tight window throw, because of course he did, on a 3rd and long, because of course it was.
Well, that was the beginning of 3rd and Fuller.
Coach, what do you think about 3rd and your last name as a potential denigration? And how afraid are you of becoming the next 3rd and Kelly, 3rd and Fuller?
The piece that came out yesterday, Bill Conley, ESPN Plus, looked at a number of intriguing numbers. Let's put it that way. I'm reiterating. And talked about our situation specifically, Florida State's situation, and got into seasons of yesteryear that come the closest to mirroring this. Did you see the story? So I'm not chiding. Many of you are working and or busy. I'll read. It's short, but here you go. It's easy to wonder if there might be a little bit of a hangover this season. Mike Norvell weathered a strange stair-stepping climb to greatness with Florida State. His Noles went 3-10 in his first 13 games, then 9-6 in his next 15 games, then won 19 in a row. It's when you say it out loud, when you read it out loud, it's just kind of fun to do. It's an exercise and a reminder, right? Just a short trip. You go 3-10 in your first 13 games, 9-6 in your next 15 games, and then you win 19 in a row. Goes on to say, but endured one of the most gut-wrenching finishes you'll ever witness. First, the unbeaten Noles were snubbed out of a spot in the Final Four team college football playoff. Then, with a number of starters having either opted out or opted for season-ending surgery, they got completely humiliated, 63-3 by Georgia in the Orange Bowl. Norvell said all the proper things in spring ball, and despite 14 new starters, his reputation for finding difference makers in the transfer portal got FSU ranked into the top 10 preseason AP poll. But instead of a hangover or a slow start, the Noles have no-showed in 2024. Florida State's win percentage has fallen by 82.9% at the moment, from 0.929 to 0.100. In the history of top division college football, there have been 14,788 teams. Only 3 have had their winning percentage fall by more than that, and 2 played during World War I.
That's awesome.
I just saw you nod.
Yeah, just make history.
You want to know who they are? Colorado State in 1917. We all remember them fondly. They went 6-0-1. Next year, they went 0-7-1, and people clutched their pearls.
Is the other one Virginia Military Institute?
No, the Colorado Coal Miners in 1919.
Nice.
They went from 4-0 to 4-2. And then there is the famous Southern Miss season, in which they went 12-2 in 2012 and went 0-12 the following year. That's the closest. That's a modern era team. That happened. The Noles are likely to finish 2-10, beating Charleston Southern this coming weekend and then losing to rival Florida. Those results would drop them to merely the 8th largest win percentage collapse ever, behind 4 more teams from 1950 or earlier. You can look at advanced stats, too. FSU has cratered in that measure as well. The Noles finished 9th in SP Plus last year, currently 92nd. In terms of percentage ratings, they've fallen from 94.1% to 33%. A 61% drop is still the 40th largest on record and the 4th largest of the 2000s. Norvell isn't a first-year coach, and by all accounts, it appears he'll keep his job into 2025, and if it has required the jettison of his assistants, so be it. I like turning to history books to get an idea from what might happen in the future, but this one's tricky. When a team collapses with this level of force, it's usually at either the start of or the end of a coach's tenure, as in the case of 2012 Southern Miss with Ellis Johnson. Acknowledging both the uniqueness of the coaching situation and the severity of the fall, I did find 10 reasonably decent comps. Here are 10 post-war major conference teams or major independents that A, collapsed by at least 50% in terms of SP plus and win percentage, did so with a coach that was not in his first season, and C, kept that coach for the following year. How long did it take each program to then rebuild? Did it happen under the same coach? Why don't we take a look? So he goes back through, and there's a team from 46, which is Oklahoma State, 56, which is Notre Dame, 1960 SMU, 61 Illinois, 1985 Boston College. Tom wasn't born, but I remember the 85 Boston College team. They went from 10-2 to 4-8, Tom.
High expectations for football up there in those days.
91 Louisville, Howard Schnellenberger, my boy Bill Logan played on that team. I played high school with him. He was on a squad that went 10-1, and then they went 2-9. It's a toughie.
Have him on,
Beat Alabama in the Fiesta Bowl. The 98 Washington State team, we all remember it's rolling baby Mike Price. 10-2 to 3-8. Charlie Weiss, aforementioned fat ass from earlier today. They went from 10-3 in 07, and Higgy had a schematic advantage over everybody. He just told you that. Then they went 3-9. Oops, maybe not. Notre Dame showed up on this list, just so you know, not once but twice. An impeccable 19-4 start for Charlie Weiss. Second season finished in disappointing fashion with blowout losses to USC and LSU. Notre Dame lost 8 offensive starters, including quarterback Brady Quinn, replaced by the true freshman, sure-to-be superstar Jimmy Clausen. Weiss replaced defensive coordinator Rick Minner with Corwin Brown. The result was a nightmare, and he got fired, and Brian Kelly was hired. Happened to Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, 7-2 to 3-9. Indiana, Tom Allen, COVID season. Everybody thought he was really good. It was the COVID season. Jimbo had a good year during the COVID year, too. Both fell off a cliff right after. They went 6-2 to 2-10, went from 18th to 94th in SP+. Next season, coaching change. Kurt Cignetti is there now. As with Pat Fitzgerald, they kept him, came back the next year, went 4-6, peace out. As with Charlie Weiss, came back that following season, promptly got fired, and Brian Kelly came in. Cougs started 7-0, lost only to Oregon, both ranked, beat Purdue in the Sun Bowl. Everybody thought they were going to be in a good place. Price came back, didn't work, got fired, or didn't get fired, chose to leave midseason, ended up at Alabama. Never worked out because he went to that strip club in Pensacola. Wasn't it Pensacola?
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, he, if I remember correctly,
must have pre-gamed at the Floribama.
Here's where it is.
So I didn't hear any good news in there. Did I hear any precedent of good news as you were sifting through the tales of Coach Stays?
No, it didn't work out for anybody, really. I'm going back on the Price story, which you can read by Ivan Maisel. He did $500 worth of drinks at a strip joint, entered room service for he and a stripper for over $1,000. Alabama, he put it on the card. Alabama fired him. My man.
You know what that means. At some point that night, there was energy, and the energy was, the hell with it. Put it on the card.
The stripper was interviewed.
By Maisel?
No, I just remember the article. I was on the air at the time, and it was hilarious. The stripper, this is how it happened. Like, we made fun of it.
I caught up with Jenny Blossom. We spoke over the phone.
Savannah told me that, so he, they got loose at the strip club, and nobody was there to say, Coach, hey, man, we should take it to the crib. This is going to be a good look. But they were ordering. I remember the reason it was $1,000 was they were ordering all kinds of seafood, which if you're going to do it.
He just said the hell with it. It's been a good run.
I mean, he didn't coach a single game. My man, you got the job.
Kind of.
Oh, man. Anyhow, the turnarounds, they have not been, if you go in the modern era, they rebounded under Bicknell, Jack Bicknell in 85 at Boston College. They did. They came back around, had a good season. They won 8 games, and everybody thought it was going to work out, but then 2 years later, he was gone. So that was still even measured. I think we're just not going to know. We're just not going to know what, because again, it's unprecedented. How are you going to look at it? When are you going to trust him again? That's the hard part for Mike. I'm just thinking about it from his standpoint. Like, the fan base isn't going to trust him for years.
Yeah, I would think that W's and L's will be greatly influenced by this season moving forward, to say the least.
If you want, by the way, I did go and double check Weiss's record after that horrible run. He ended up going 7-6, 6-6 before they dumped him.
Yeah, that was fun. I was in college. I remember that. With a roommate who loved Notre Dame. And it was just a lot of fun because he would wear Notre Dame hats to like
class?
Tailgates and
No,
class.
that's not what you do. Yeah.
Get out of here with that nonsense.
Mm.
But with Mike, for me personally, I know everybody's got a shopping cart or shopping list and they're filling their cart in a certain order. For me, the number one thing that would give me some hope would be the sheer number of new bodies on campus. Like, if you could get that turnover around 42, 45, 48 players, somewhere in there, that would give me hope that the voice we talked about earlier in the show, from the top on down, that the voice would resonate with the room. Because I'm afraid that if you don't have enough roster turnover, the voice will not resonate in the room. Because that voice told them if you do everything right, you're going to go to the college football playoff. And that was out of his hands and it was out of his control, but it ended up being false. It ended up being false. Not his fault, but it ended up being false. And I have to think that there was a residual impact that didn't show during workouts, but once you go 0-2 in a span of 10 days and all your goals are off the table, that rises to the surface. And so the voice falls on deaf ears. You got to have a lot of new people in here for Mike to be able to inspire a turnaround.
How many can you get?
That is a great question, and I want to push the limits. I want it to be like Apollo 13, when they're like, okay, we need you to slingshot around the moon, and here's the only stuff you got. Like, I need 50 new players. Here's our budget. Make it happen.
I don't think we can get 50 new players, Tom.
I know, but at least if that's the goal and you come, I'm sorry, we failed. Well, how badly? 43. Great job. I was actually looking for 40. So
40 new players.
His words have to mean something to the players. I don't know that they do.
Maybe you have the heart to heart, you have the sit down, you have the post-season exit meetings, and we have a genuine heart to heart. And if you read into that the person is not able to connect, not able to believe, not able to, I don't know how you would do that, but we've all had conversations with people in which we knew we were either connecting or not. I don't know, buddy. I don't think you can. First of all, how are you going to get that many players here? Who wants to come here right now? You're
kids from lower levels. That's the bulk of it. But if you bring in enough of those guys who inherently, this was the benefit of the portal. This is when the portal was good. You had dudes who were pissed off about some slight somewhere along the line.
There's always going to be a group of players that, yes, want to leave one place to go to another because they're miserable at a place and they see an attractive option. I just wonder how attractive Florida State is right now. It seems like a place when you're firing coaches this close to signing day and you don't know who those coaches are going to be replaced by, and you have you have very little time to get this figured out, and now you're going to try to bring in 40 or 50 people?
The pitch has to be like stand and deliver. A negative times a negative is a positive. Repeat after me.
Yeah.
A negative times a negative equals a positive. I'm mad, you're mad. Let's be happy together. That's the pitch.
Tried and True Consulting, looking for businesses that want to do something to best utilize wall space. You have an existing television, perhaps. Maybe you want to generate, if I could speak, revenue. It is Wednesday. Even if you don't have that television, my men at Tried and True will make sure you do. I've told you this before, but they'll help you sell your business and all of its attributes as well as others, and the program could be ideal for you. You've got a waiting room, you've got doctor's office, maybe you're a bar or a restaurant. Give them a call today. Get that ad board. Tried and True Consulting. I've mentioned them time and time again on this show because these guys are doing things in the community. Hit that QR code, 844-463-6653. 844 I'm for Noel, Tried and True Consulting. Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
This is Alex from Falmers. We know that you want to get the most value for the money you spend this holiday season. That's why we're discounting all of our gold and silver jewelry by 50%. All diamond earrings, pendants, and charms. Popular items like gold chains and necklaces. Even all wedding sets and engagement rings are discounted by 50%. At Falmers, we make your dollars go further. Shop early for the best selection, and don't forget to ask about our great layaway plan. Falmers, 2 times more than you might expect with 2 great locations. As you probably know, Falmers buys, sells, and loans on just about anything of value. What you might not know is that when you buy something from us, we guarantee the total satisfaction of your purchase. Buy it, take it home, and if for any reason you decide you don't want it within 7 days, Falmers will give you 100% of your money back. And if you decide you don't want the item within 30 days, Falmers will let you exchange it for something you do want. At Falmers, we guarantee you're going to be happy with your purchase or we'll buy it back. Falmers, check cashing, pawn service, and sales. 2 times more than you might expect with 2 great locations.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Infinity of Tallahassee. Here's something to think about during the holidays. The highly acclaimed, award-winning 2025 Infinity QX80 SUV. It gets a lot of people wanting to test drive one, simply because they heard about the Clips reference stereo system. But guess what? Once they drive this high-tech wonder, they forget all about the surround sound. And it's easy to see why, because this Infinity is loaded with technology and comfort, including luxury upholstery, heated and cooled first and second row seats, a huge touchscreen, blind spot monitoring, optional 4-wheel drive, and that's just for starters. How about 2 rows of massaging seats, a refrigerated center console, and much more than you can possibly imagine. So remember, the wait is over. At Infinity of Tallahassee, step up to individual audio, biometric cooling, Infinity Light Path, and ProPilot 2.1. Not sure what any of that is? Just stop by and let us show you. You'll see for yourself why the new QX80 is one of the hottest and most desirable new vehicles of 2025. Infinity of Tallahassee on Mayhem Drive.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-960-3377. That's 800-960-3377. 800-960-3377.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Damn it, Jeff, I just picked my 5-year-old old up from school, and now she's asking what a stripper is. We good, though. Told her to ask her mom later. Woo! Nicely done, old Kev. Too Live, what's up, baby? Jeff Tom, be honest with me. Is FSU just buying time to fire Mike? Let's be real. We played the game. We know what it's like. In other eras, I would say yes. in a previous era of college football being built the way that it was and programs being run the way that they were, I would tell you, yes, there's no surviving this. He can't come back from it. I do think it's a very unique time. I don't know if he can come back from it. I tend to bet and lean towards the fact that I don't think he will. And when I say come back from it, I mean, by definition, he's back next year. But is he the guy that leads this program back into prominence the way it was a year ago and towards, an annual playoff appearance, conference championships, into the next league that we enter? Is he still the coach when we join the Big Ten or the SEC? Is he the guy that stands atop the podium and holds up the trophy for Florida State? Is he ever again destined for that kind of greatness here after this season? I have a hard time believing that. I sure hope he does, but I can't say with any great gusto that I believe that to be true.
I think the same thing I did before the firings of the coordinators. It's within the scope of his capabilities to do it, and he's an underdog to do it. If you were just setting betting lines and you're saying, does Mike get Florida State? I mean, you don't even have to say back to an ACC championship, but a 10-win season. Does Mike engineer Florida State back to a 10-win season in the regular season of 12 games? And I would say that the money line odds on that, the prop odds, would be no, minus 250, minus 300. He's a favorite to not get Florida State back there. But I think he still can. I think he can because of all the reasons that we're talking about. Defining success at Florida State and a lot of programs now, when you get more spots at the table that is the playoff, more at-large spots, in 2 years' time, it'll be 14 teams. So you had 2 more at-large bids. Talk to me about, teams 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 right now in the playoff rankings. Deeply flawed football teams that would be in consideration for an at-large bid for the playoff.
Nobody's happier than James Franklin.
Yeah, right. So if Florida State was in that discussion in 2 years' time, by the old standard, you'd say it's not you're a top 15 team. Congratulations, we're going to go get a new head coach. In this era, it's, well, look at this. He got us back into the playoff discussion. Now he needs to go further, but he's bought himself more time. I think that's where the era we live in would afford him some latitude if he can get you back to 10 wins in a couple of years.
I wonder how quickly people will, let's say that happens. Sure hope it does. Say 2 years from right now, Florida State's in the playoff. And we're at this juncture of the season, and they're a virtual lock. They're they're ranked 5th in the country, whatever it is, right?
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. 9th in the country, or whatever. They're making the ACC championship game. They're going to be a 10-win team. They're probably going to the playoff. All right.
Yeah. We go play at LSU on the road for a playoff game.
Right.
Week 1.
Given what everybody's enduring now, I wonder how soon that only sustaining a playoff appearance would lead to noise in the system and people saying, you know what, I'm ready to move on. Like, would you, if you made the playoff 2 years in a row and you had this baggage, would people go, you know what, he's just never going to get us to where we want to go? It gets harder and harder to say those kinds of things and have those debates for any program if you're a annual playoff contender.
That's the discussion, though, that, again, the game has completely changed. The medal stand is much larger. It's like that one, the big meme with the guy who's all the way down on the steps and he's celebrating, he's got the medal, and that's where 14 teams being in a playoff, I imagine it'll be 16, not long after that. It gives you a landing spot that just wouldn't exist before. How many firings were there in the 90s and the 2000s because you kept on finishing 5th in the AP poll?
Coaches love it. In basketball, people wanted to continue to expand that tournament, and the thought being that you could just constantly say, well, we made the tournament. And if you get a little bit of, a little lucky, you win a couple games in the tournament. Next thing you know, you're a Sweet 16 team. Oh, I'm in Sweet 16. You can't fire me. We could. But I think you're right. If you make the playoff, people are going to continue to, in a debate with somebody who likes that particular coach that you're arguing against, their quickest fallback is going to be, he's made the playoff 3 years in a row. I'm like, well, great. As the 15th best team in that playoff, they did.
There will be a very Marvin Lewis-esque
element to all of it.
Oh, man. He made the playoffs a lot.
Yes.
and he was given wide berth for making the playoffs.
I think the only way you survive many of those playoff appearances without a significant win,
Or a single win.
like if you don't. So Mike Tomlin every year makes sure the Steelers are having a winning season, and that is harder to do in the NFL than it will be in college at premier programs. Because in the NFL, it is a 500 league. It's a salary cap league. It's built around people, the old 16-game season being 8-8. That dude always goes to the playoffs. But he's at least won a Super Bowl. So when people say, well, I hope you like losing in the first round of the playoffs every year, great. You can say that, except for he's won a Super Bowl. He's got the ultimate prize under his belt. So if Mike won it, and then turned around and had 3 early exits in the playoffs, you'd be like, well, but he did win the whole thing, and we're going to the playoffs. Let's go easy here.
Right. Well, in this case, being 2-10 in all likelihood, 1-11 for the people who are paranoid. If you get back to a playoff game, we're traveling, we've got all these tailgates lined up on somebody else's campus for week 1 in a couple of years. We're going to celebrate that. And I think it will buy him another year or 2 at minimum to see if he can take us all the way back. But it's just the nature of defining success is completely different than it ever has been. And we're watching it in real time.
I didn't get a chance to tell you on our trek on the Spirit Express into South Bend.
Spirit Express.
It was a little less gloomy this go around than last time. But I will tell you that one of the members of the Spirit Express team like to get down. Got a little loose.
Oh, really?
She was fired up about the trip into South Bend. It's like, okay. It was bright and early. And everybody enjoyed themselves, and that was part of what you paid for, to be able to pop a cold 1 or 2, or in her case 9, on your way into South Bend, Indiana.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask you about who that was in the break.
I'll tell you about him. Really quickly, I'm nervous. I'm getting nervous. I ought not be. I've had this bet on autopilot all year long. And now I'm like, who are you, Kareem Garcia? Who are you to question the great Pedro Martinez? In this case, Jeff Cameron. I'm getting nervous. So, at the start of the season, before we ever saw a single game, I put a substantial bet down on Jaden Daniels to win Rookie of the Year. And he has been fantastic. But they are, beginning to slide a little bit. The flaws of that team are revealing themselves.
Could have used a good finish against Philly last week. Yeah.
It's still a tough go. I mean, Philly's not bad, and they're playing well. Yeah. Daniels looked like, to me, and to most of us watching for much of this year, a shoo-in to win the award. I was counting my money. And out of nowhere, Daniels has had the struggles against the Steelers and the Eagles, and effing Bo Nix is out here slinging it. Bo effing Nix. So his odds, meaning Bo Nix, of winning the award jumped up this week. It doesn't seem likely from where I sit and continue to look at these numbers, which I've again pulled up here, that he can pass him. But Bo Nix, by the way, became the first NFL rookie in history to complete 80+% of his passes, throw 4 touchdown passes, and 300+ yards in a game this past week. Did you know that?
I did see that note, yes, on Sunday.
Completed 84% of his passes, nearly 85% of his passes, threw for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in the game last week. It's the 4th time in which he's had 0 interceptions, threw for 2 or more touchdown passes, and completed over 70% of his tosses. That ties him with Dak Prescott in 2016, or most such games as a rookie. Getting a little.
Well, here are the remaining schedules for your 2 combatants for this particular award. Which one do you want first? You want the
future winner, Jaden Daniels.
Winner.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This will make you feel better. The Commanders' remaining 6 opponents. Dallas.
That'll be a good day for
start.
Jaden Daniels.
Good start.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
All right. Another good day.
New Orleans.
Another good day.
Philadelphia.
Ooh, could be tough.
Atlanta.
Another good day.
Dallas.
Another good. Oh, it's over. That's a wrap. We're calling it. We're calling it.
Do you want to know about the challengers?
Sure.
I think you'll feel okay. Las Vegas. Cleveland.
Couple good days for Bo Nix.
Indy.
Another good day for Bo Nix.
The Chargers.
Oh, terrible day for Bo Nix. That Chargers team's for real, by the way.
The Bengals.
Eek, they'll set records.
And the Chiefs.
Okay. All right. I like my slate better, but still. By the way, I will say this.
Cleveland could give them a game if they care.
Bo Nix's, I will say Bo Nix's game against the Chiefs the week before was even more impressive, by the way, because that's a very real defense. I mean, he put together the game-winning drive, in essence, against the Chiefs, and they just let the field goal get blocked. That would have been a hell of a win on the road. Completed 73% of his passes on 30 attempts. Now, I don't use that as the measuring stick because it's not hard to complete a pass 5 yards down the field. But when you're putting together 300-plus yard passing days and throwing for 4 touchdowns and completing 70% of your passes, and they're not 4-yard checkdowns, okay. And he's been doing that lately, which, again, if you're the Bears, you're going, son of a bitch, we got the wrong dudes. Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix are going to be the two, and we've got this slap ass.
Well, look, man, we've had 3 opinions of Caleb Williams so far in his young career. Let's hang on.
I'm saying if I'm a Bears fan, I'm conditioned to believe we screwed it up.
Sure.
And you're now getting some evidence that maybe you did. And you know you're already doom and gloom. So you're like, really? Bo Nix is setting records, huh? Should have beat the Chiefs on the road. Jaden Daniels out here doing whatever he wants every week. Here we are. We've lost 4 straight. We just got housed at home to New England and scored 3 points. I'm having a hard time believing that this is going to be the guy. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A homicide investigation is underway after a man was shot and killed Monday morning after trying to break into a home in West Tallahassee. The incident unfolded around 6:30 a.m. at the Red Point Apartments located on Mission Road. Police found a man suffering from gunshot wounds and immediately began to render aid, but he succumbed to his injuries and died on scene. The man was attempting to burglarize the apartment. A person of interest has been identified in relation to the incident and is being questioned by detectives. This is an active investigation. One man is dead and another hospitalized after a crash between the Nissan van and cement truck around 3:30 p.m. Tuesday near the intersection of Woodville Highway and Belair Road. The 46-year-old driver of the van died at the scene of the crash. The cement truck driver, a 70-year-old man, was taken to Tallahassee Memorial and is expected to survive. It is currently unclear what caused the crash. This is Rachel Anaya with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MclemoreSystems.com.
Here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
Clearing out and turning cooler, and sunshine returns. Highs dropping into the 60s with lows in the 30s and 40s. Staying that way through the weekend. Tonight clear, low of 46. Thursday sunny with a high of 63, lows in the 40s. Same for Friday with a high of 62 and lows in the 30s. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pest, and for a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. They'll get them all.
What do you need tires on? Your car or truck, tractor, or heavy equipment? At Nice Tire and Auto Service, we have tires for all of these needs. And we service your vehicle from air conditioning and computerized alignment to oil changes and everything else under the hood. Call Nice Tire and Auto today at 574-4100. That's 574-4100 for your scheduled maintenance. National accounts welcome at Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, Metashare members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. And Metashare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before November 30th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee. So you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is November 30th. So call now and you'll save even more. Here's the number: 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
We were having fun talking about that during the break, just looking at these teams. That Chargers team is fun, man. Getting back to those, certain teams that didn't know what to think of at the start of the year. The Chargers are interesting. By the way, Baltimore and LA this weekend.
Yeah, they're playing Monday Night Football. It's a great game.
It is.
And they're going to be at the center of a lot of NFL discussion over the next month until about Christmas time. Here are the Chargers' next 5 games. They play Baltimore, as you know, followed by Atlanta, Kansas City, the Bucks, and the Broncos.
I wish we didn't have to play them.
Out there, too. It's out that way.
Yeah, I really wish we didn't have to play them. They first of all, they believe, but the one thing that they do much better now under Harbaugh, and a lot of it has to do with style of play, but they play good defense. They play really good defense, and they've given Herbert a run game and a defense that keeps him in games, and he doesn't have to be superhuman. And then when he's asked to make plays, he simply does.
They're in a good position too, that if they navigate those 5 games at 500 or a game over 500, their last 2 opponents are the Patriots and the Raiders. So if you get to Christmas Day and the Chargers are in playoff position or division championship or whatever, because they could be up that high if Kansas City slips up again, if they beat Kansas City head to head, they're staring at a very nice seed.
One of the things to point out is, and we've had this discussion many times, and they were smart. They did it. And I just feel like every team, if you're not certain about your quarterback situation or the quarterbacks that are available in the draft, I get it. You got to have a quarterback to win in this league. But, man, if you can get a top-line offensive lineman, an elite level guy that's been a dominant player at the college level at a big conference, always draft him. Always. They drafted Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. Go figure. And that's the other thing. Go into that Florida State Notre Dame game. And, Tom, you've seen this, and I've seen it. When you go, this is why going to games, like when we play Alabama next year, and in a couple of years, Georgia, or if you're a fan that, when the team is out of town and you've got an opportunity to go to a game at a place where they really kind of just super produce offensive linemen, go look at those kids. Go look at the offensive line at Georgia. Go look at the offensive line at LSU or Alabama. Go look at the offensive line at Notre Dame. Being in person at that Notre Dame game, and they've got some good ones again, pro prospects again. That's one thing Notre Dame churns out, just like Iowa does every year. They all look different. Joe Alt is 6'8", 325 pounds. He's a rookie, and he is one of the best players in the league. And they took him, and they knew right away. They're like, oh, that's our guy. Grab him. You rarely see. We got it right with Tristan Wirfs. You see, I bet the highest hit rate in the NFL is on tackles that were elite in college, offensive tackles that were elite in college, especially if they play in a big conference.
It's second only to centers because of
that offensive lineman.
Yeah, but
sorry, I said tackle specifically.
Yeah.
Yes,
if you look at,
we got the right center too.
If a center is taken in the top 50, it's the highest hit rate of any position. But it's hard for a center to crack that. So it is a bit self-fulfilling, but yes, you're right. Tackles is the next one.
It makes total sense. But, I mean, time and again, you're safe in drafting a big-time, big-ass, giant, successful offensive lineman. That's not true of wide receiver. It's not true of running back. It's not true of quarterback. It's not true of linebacker. It's not true of tight end or safety or corner. It is absolutely true of offensive linemen. Time and again, you watch it. You're like, oh, you know what? Not real sure what we do. Let's go with the offensive lineman. Feel pretty good about the offensive line.
Well, that sounds like an excellent off-season strategy for us, and that's where, the crux of some of the conversations we've had today about the path back.
Well, it is 100%. That's why I bring it up. I keep hammering the point home. Everybody wants a quarterback, and yeah, you got to have one. But nothing is possible if you cannot win the line of scrimmage.
You can have an average quarterback with a really nice running game. That's what they want to do this year. That's what they thought they were going to do this year.
Yes,
we'll
yes.
bring in an average quarterback who's veteran with a cannon for an arm. We're going to run the hell out of the ball. He's going to look really good in this system because he's going to be in 2nd and 6 and 3rd and 2 all day. That's what they thought.
Yeah, I 100% agree. They thought, absolutely, they thought, all right, we're gonna be able to run the ball. We'll throw off a play action. He's got a big arm. We'll stretch the field. We brought in some speed at wide receiver. All of that. Now, I think he overestimated what these receivers would be, and all of that is true. But he also got a little unlucky. We had some injuries, some other things along those lines. But whatever you have to do to find 5+ offensive linemen, and we'll worry about the rest of it. We'll worry about the rest of it because anything under the sun is available to you from a play calling standpoint if you can ensure it's going to be more often than not blocked up. You may not get as many of the possible yards available to you if you don't have an elite running back, an elite wide receiver. You may look at those advanced metrics and you say at the end of the year, you know what? He only got 37% of the yards that were available to him on this play. But you're talking about arguments about successful plays.
Yeah, you can't go broke making a profit.
Right.
Because I could argue and say, yards, what are those? Right now, where we sit right now. What the hell is a yard? We don't get them. So you would want to reintroduce to the offense. These are yards. We're going to earn these. And we're going to earn these behind these behemoths that we spent $6 million on to bring in here.
I'm in, buddy. I am in. Let's go with that. Spin on offensive line. Well,
keep buying bricks.
You got that flashed up there? There it is. Give the gift of FSU history. Collectible exchange. Our friends at the Battle's Inn, code TBE15, 15% off the order.
That's right. CollectibleExchange.com. That's the website. When you give.
Where's that? Do you see the brick over there? Can you see it? You look over there. See that on top of that smashed ass old TV right there? That's a brick.
There it is.
That's a brick. Here you go, Tom. You can whistle.
So the most important thing that the Tampa Bay Lightning have to do now is maintain health in their top 6 of their forwards group. That's why, quietly, the Lightning have been one of the better teams. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's in there.
It's your authentic brick.
People just heard about how Braden Point's, yeah.
It's not in there.
Yeah. Is that Miami's ACC championship case?
No, if you order the brick, you get it in this big case
right.
here. I was showing off the case. Brick goes right in there, guys. I do have.
You have the Peter Warwick one behind you.
I do
over
have
your
that.
left shoulder.
Yeah,
and the brick is on that one.
There's a piece of brick on that one.
Yeah,
and it's signed by Peter Warwick. I've also got the stadium seats in there.
Here lies Lene Kukua.
Oh, that's good. I got to do the report tonight. How about that?
Really? What's the rundown? Did you get the outline?
I'm sure I did. I haven't checked it.
Is it about the game? That's my follow-up.
I would guess that it's got something to do with the game. I don't know how much it has to do with the game, but I just thought to myself, I'll agree to this, but I don't know. I mean, how could we talk about this game? What are we going to say about this game? I'll look it up for you. Using last week for recruiting, reports of Norvell out on the road doing that. Do we have concerns, questions for me and Corey are about going to be talked about there? I think maybe some promos for some other events. We'll figure out a way. We can look at Cromanhawk and Glenn for this weekend. Both will play, right?
Why not? Why stop now?
You and I will be doing the pregame show this Saturday.
9 a.m.
And then from there,
11 a.m. Hotel Indigo.
Boom.
That has been
the joy of the season.
You got it.
100%. I have had a great time every time we go over to Hotel Indigo. Fans kept coming out.
Yep. It's a well-adjusted crowd of Noles that are just looking to kick back, maybe kibitz a little bit about the bad season, watch some football. It's the perfect way to set up the game. This year's crowd's been phenomenal at Indigo. Been good times.
And we hope you'll come out again. 11 o'clock, 1:30 kickoff time. There you go. We'll be there at 11. So will the ice cold mimosas.
That's right. They will be breaking out the registers as well. Sometimes for the early kicks, it's just a bar service. 1:30 is late enough in the day that there's also going to be food served as well.
And don't forget at noon, Indiana, Ohio State. At noon, Ole Miss in Florida. Anybody think Florida's going to beat Ole Miss?
They're catching 10. Catching 10.
Kind of feels like you're going to take Florida in 10, Tommy.
Yeah, I think I might see that on tomorrow's Redemption Thursday wager list. I don't know. Maybe Martha won't see it.
You might. Our line's not on the board for the 1:30 kick. The only other game going on at the time that we play that kicks off in that same hour is UTEP, Tennessee, and Western Kentucky Liberty.
So we are where we belong.
Yeah. Out there just floating about in the oddity of a 1:30 kick.
Kick them off at halftime.
There we are. The best games of the weekend, there aren't many good ones. BYU, Arizona State is a good one. You're locked in on that one. You get it 3:30.
3:30. Yep. That post-game show is going to go fast.
You've invested in dilly.
I'm just interested because Colorado plays Kansas at 3:30 as well. And that game suddenly got interesting because Kansas showed.
Well, they're showing up. They're showing up. Yeah.
They're probably not going to win Kansas, but
No.
it got interesting, but where it was not weeks before.
Vanderbilt's at LSU. LSU just saw their season awash, right? It is a night game in Baton Rouge. They show up.
Ryan Kelly has a weird way of winning a game like this convincingly. He has a little Malzahn in him where it's, oh, you lost that. And then you go, well, hang on a minute.
So Vandy just lost to South Carolina 28-7. They weren't all that competitive, but they do have 6 wins. This could guarantee a winning season with a win on the road. And what it would do for that program to go and win Baton Rouge, that'd be crazy. I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be fun.
FireBrianKelly.com.
Good work out of you. Thanks, everybody. We will talk to you on a Redemption Thursday. The bets will be flowing. I'm ready. I'm going to have a big weekend here. I know it. Peace.